Happy Friday, everyone. You know what that means, another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you enter your question, your concern, your comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Guys, May is almost here. The lawns are looking their level best. Hopefully you guys are all having a good Friday. Got plans for the weekend. It's the end of the month, so it's time to get the lawns going in full gear for the prep for next month. So I'll share with you guys some of the stuff I've been working on already. If you've been following the channel, you kind of know already, because I posted some of it earlier, but I'll walk through as far as what my plans are for the month of May. It's all really based on the calendar that's available on the Golf Course Lawn Store, but we'll walk through that for you guys. As always, get your questions queued up so we can go through them. I go through them in the order they come in. So if you want to get your question answered earlier, be sure to get that in. Get that in now. As always, we're coming to you guys live on most of the major streaming platforms. YouTube is the primary platform that we're on, but you can also reach us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're on Instagram, you're not going to see anything that I share on the screen, but if you want to still ask your question that way, feel free to be part of the show, and I'll just bounce back and forth between YouTube and Instagram to make sure you guys are not left out. Make sure you guys are feeling the love as well too. All right. Next up, we have a couple of questions here. One, we'll start off with Shauna. So Shauna has a question. She just had tornado warnings, but the lawn was mowed. Well, at least your priorities are in place, right? So at least you don't have to worry about mowing the lawn, I guess. But stay safe. Hopefully you have like a safe place to go in case you're having tornado warnings. But I'm glad that if a tornado does come through, at least the lawn is looking its level best, right? You have a question from Kenny's Lawn Service saying, do you know much about grass in Arizona? I mean, we have a lot of customers out of Arizona. I have a lot of viewers in Arizona. I help lots of people in Arizona with their lawns as well too. So yeah, I'm not sure what question in particular you have as far as turf grass in Arizona, but yeah, if you want to ask a question, I'll do my best to help you out. All right, so guys, it's been a fun week. Again, as you guys know, as the end of April, moving into May, so that means the full regiment, Essential G, the Primo Max, and all that jazz. So as we get into the show a little bit, I'll walk through everything I'm doing this month. May is one of the busier months out of the year. May and June, in particular, are some of the busier months out of the year as far as like applications and things that I do. We'll walk through that here in a little bit once we get more people to come in and sit down with your beverage of choice so we can get into the show. All right, so let's see what questions we have here on YouTube or comments. First up is Mr. Jason Harrison. He says, the revolutions have arrived, or at least most of them, with the games begin. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm glad that you guys are finally getting your mowers. Hopefully everything that Real Rollers promised and everything I was also saying about it, my thoughts on it, ring true for you guys as well. It's a great mower, especially at the price point. It punches way, way, way above its weight. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys are getting your hardware. As a matter of fact, Jason sent some pictures of his lawn before and after. Now you gotta remember, Jason's been living on that rotary mower life, as most people start out. And I believe he's maintaining his lawn at 1.25 inches, which again, for rotary, pretty good. You gotta respect that. And then he got his Revolution, and then he took it down quite a bit to a little bit under half that. I think he's mowing at like 5/8 at this point. So this is how his lawn looked before. So this is him at 1.25 inches, which again, most people would not be upset about that. It's a good looking stand of turf grass. And then you move on to where he is now after mowing with the Revolution. And here's the thing, guys, that's not even leveled yet. And you can really see how much better the cut is and how much better the lawn looks. I think he's got a plan for a top dress in the month of May, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to get even better. But again, going from that to that, and the only real difference is just the mower and the cutting height really shows, what a real mower can do for your lawn. And again, this is like a week or so old. I mean, as he cuts it more, it's going to get even better. And when he top dresses it, it's going to get even that much better. So mow in good health, enjoy the new equipment. You didn't send us a picture of it, but you know what? We'll clap it up for you anyway. We'll give you some dap. And keep us posted as far as how the new equipment does. All right, so we have another question here under the comment. This one is from Mr. Kyle Savant. I've never seen you before, Kyle, so hopefully if you're new here, welcome. He says, I plan to try something new. Soil test shows nitrogen and sulfur levels are low. I bought a 50-pound bag of water-soluble 2100E. Okay, so 20% nitrogen and 24% sulfur. pH is optimal. Okay. And the rest of your question is, I will dilute this to about 0.5 pound of nitrogen per 1,000. We'll also add a micronutrient supplement. Thoughts? I've never used that particular, I'm not sure what product you're actually talking about, Kyle, but I mean, at a high level, it sounds reasonable. I mean, whenever I do my spoon feeding, what I aim for from the granular is about 0.5 pound of nitrogen from that. And then I supplement with liquids to get my nitrogen for the month up to around 7/8 pound of nitrogen. The thing is, if your pH is fine, I guess you're just trying to raise your sulfur levels. You're not using a sulfate. You're not trying to drop pH. You're just trying to raise sulfur levels. So I guess if the fertilizer based on your soil test results is a good fit for your soil, again, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, 0.5 pound of nitrogen is what I do. That's what I did today. I mean, we can kind of get into that. As far as my spoon feeding program, like for example, this afternoon, I went out and I put out Essential G. I did Essential G, 4 bags of that over the entire lawn, and then a bag of Humic Max at 3 pounds per 1,000, which works out to right at 0.5 pound of nitrogen, kind of like what you're doing. So my granular inputs for this month are pretty much done at this point. And then tomorrow or at some point this weekend, maybe tomorrow morning, might wait till Sunday, we'll see. I will do Primo. So I'll do the 901C carbon kit, Primo Max, micronutrient, and then finally this month is the first month I like to do a preventative fungicide. So I'll also do Pillar SC as well. So like I said, a pretty busy month, but as far as from a nutrient standpoint, what you are talking about sounds pretty good to me. So try it out, keep me posted, let us know how it works out. All right, Fresh Apple says 3 more minutes. 3 minutes have come and gone, sir. We are now here. We're now live and direct. We got Robert Rainey in the house. That guy, he's saying good evening. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Hope you guys sent us some pictures of where the lawn is. I know the lawn was looking incredible. You had the ryegrass overseed. We're getting rid of that. going back to the Bermuda. So yeah, keep us posted as far as how it does. All right, next up, we have Tony Israel. Tony says, hey, Ron, should I use surfactant when applying split apps of Primo Max and Nutrisolve? No, I would not use surfactant whenever you're applying plant growth regulator, Primo Max, or the micronutrient you're talking about, Nutrisolve. There's just no need for it. Primo Max does a good enough job adhering to the leaf. You can be mixing Nutrisolve with it as well, so you're fine. There's no need to use surfactant along with plant growth regulator, with Primo Max anyway. The only thing you might add if you wanted to is a dye, so you can see where you're spraying, but that's not strictly necessary either. So hope that helps, sir. No surfactant. I would recommend against that. I would not use surfactant whenever you're spraying liquid fertilizer unless the fertilizer calls for it. And I really haven't come across any that had the recommendation of mixing surfactant along with them when spraying. Most liquid fertilizers you either spray and water in, or you spray and allow them to dry. So yeah, certainly none of the ones that we carry on the golf course lawn store, none of those require surfactant. So hope that helps. On the topic of Nutrisolve, on the topic of micronutrient, we only have a few bottles of Nutrisolve left. And what's going to happen, you guys may have noticed, I can show you guys really quick. Something I was going to talk about later on in the show, but since you brought up Nutrisolve, we can talk about it now. I'm not sure if it's sold out yet, but it's getting there. Okay, so what you guys will notice on the store, if you go there, is Turflex is sold out, and it will be for, in at this point, probably indefinitely. And then Nutrisolve is not far behind. However, fear not, let not your heart be troubled. I'm working on replacements for both of those that should be available here soon. So it's going to be a similar formulation, 22-3, and then also a micronutrient, and they're going to be a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like I said, if I'm going to replace something, I'm going to ensure that they're going to have everything that these have, plus a little bit more. So stay tuned for that. As soon as I have a date, or at least when I have everything done up, I'll replace these two with that on the store, and you guys will be able to see that. You'll be able to add yourself to a list to be notified as soon as they go live. Which again, I'm not hoping will be too long, but just want to level set that the Nutrisolve that's there's not a whole lot left, and whenever it's gone, it likely will be gone. It'll go the way of Turfplex. So, but those two I'll have a replacement for here in the near future. So just want to share that with you guys in case you guys wanted Nutrisolve and want to get one of the few bottles we got left in the store. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Robert Rainey. He says, my lawn is starting to go dormant. Is there anything I can do to put it to bed this summer? Okay, Robert. Well, you have Bermuda, so it shouldn't be going dormant yet. Are you talking about the ryegrass? And if it's the ryegrass, I mean, it should be going more than dormant. It should be kind of going away at this point, right? You should be spraying that out. I think you already did already. So no, I don't really have any tips for you to put your Bermuda lawn and send it into dormancy this summer. Here's the thing. I think you're just messing with me because I know there's no way that you would be able to tolerate your lawn in, going dormant, given the standard you've set over the years. You'd be out there hand watering it before you allow it to go dormant. So okay. Keep me posted as far as how it goes, but I think this is you just messing with me. All right, next up is Fresh Apples. It says, hey, Ron, I bought some Humic Max granular fertilizer. It's slightly raining. Should I apply it, or should I wait until the other day? Also, do you think that will be enough, or will I need the 901C carbon kit? Yeah, so Humic Max, if you can apply it to the lawn when it's dry and then water it in afterwards, that would be my preference. I mean, if you are, let's say it was raining, and you expect a lot more rainfall, say in an hour. So say it was raining now, you have a 2-hour window where it's not going to rain, and then it's going to rain again a couple hours later. Then yeah, if you want to get out there and you want to put out Humic Max, that's fine. What you don't want to do is in general with granular fertilizers is you don't want to apply them to a wet lawn and just allow them to sit there. If you do that, if you do apply granular fertilizer to a wet lawn, you want to water it in right after application to prevent any chance of injury of burning. As far as 901C, it's what I do. I do a spoon feeding program where I use a combination of liquid and granular fertilizer. So Humic Max again for half a pound of nitrogen, and then 901C a couple times per month to help fill in. If you're only going to go with Humic Max, I would increase the application rate. You're going to want to apply it closer to 5 pounds per thousand if you are only going to be using that. That's going to get your levels, your nitrogen levels up closer to 0.8, enough to feed a Bermuda lawn over the course of a month or so. But if you plan on spoon feeding, then you could use the rates that we list on the Golf Course Lawn Store, which have you putting it out at 3 pounds per thousand. So to answer your question, is it strictly necessary? No. Will you get better results if you incorporate 901C The 901C Carbon Kit and Humic Max, yes. So it just really depends on your budget, how much time you have. But Humic Max in itself is a great fertilizer. So the only thing I would tell you is if you're only going to be using that, bump that rate up over what I'd normally apply it at to make sure you're putting enough nutrient in the lawn to feed it over the course of a month. So great question, Fresh Apples. Hopefully that gets you what you need. And if you have any other questions, do let me know. But I mean, if you're gonna do Humic Max, man, why not also do the 901C Carbon Kit? Like the two of them, it's like ice cream and caramel. It's like Bermuda grass and real mowing. You know, they kind of go together. It's like Bermuda grass and Primo Max. They kind of go together. You know, they're a thing. They're a thing. So hope that helps, sir. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Adam Carter says, "Hey Ron, just your pictures of my lawn. Can you look at them and tell me why the grass is brown?" Yeah, I'll see if I can take a look at it, Adam, and give you some feedback on it. The pictures you sent me, I looked at them right before the live stream. They're all in portrait, so they're not going to work. I have to switch all of them to landscape for them to show them on the stream easily. So I'll look at them later and I'll let you know what my thoughts are. But yeah, I will take a look and give you some feedback. All right, next up is Ed Mora. He says, Bermuda in my cool season grass is a problem, Ron Henry. Well, I hear you, man. I mean, Bermuda, you're right. While we love Bermuda grass here, you know, it pains me to say this, but in some parts of the country, you guys actually consider Bermuda grass to be a weed, which is, again, painful to even say that. But if you have Bermuda in your cool season lawn, what a herbicide that a lot of people use to try and remove Bermuda out of cool season turf grass is a herbicide called Pilex. It is not a one and done type thing. You're not going to spray once and it be done. It's going to be a constant thing you're going to be managing, but that will selectively remove Bermuda grass out of your cool season lawn. So if you've not heard of that, look into it. That's a good option for doing that. If you got Bermuda grass in St. Augustine or Zoysia, here soon, you guys will be able to use Fusilade and Recognition to be able to remove Bermuda grass selectively in warm season turf. So, but you don't have that problem. In your case, Pilex is what you're going to be looking at. I believe I have a link here that I can send you that'll get you all squared away as far as that goes. But yeah, read the label. Make sure you read the guidance that they have in regards to like rates and that kind of thing. But yeah, this is what you're going to want to use, Ed Mora, if you're looking to remove Bermuda out of your cool season lawn. Pains me. I'm sending Bermuda grass to its death by giving you this herbicide, but I get it. It's not the desirable grass in your lawn, so therefore it is a weed. All right, next up we have hey, what's going on? We got in the live stream here, we got on Instagram, we got Lee-san, and then hello from Romano. What's going on, guys? Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for coming out and supporting the show. I mean, once you guys get your lawn and everything, we'll have to get out there and get it in good shape again. You know, being a friend, we got certain standards we got to maintain as far as lawn goes. So here soon we'll be out there in the lawn having fun. So thanks, you guys, for coming to hang out in the live stream for a little bit. I really do appreciate it. All right, next up is Cody. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron, and go Dogs." Now, before I read the rest of the question, you guys, that is an appropriate response. If you're going to come in here and talk about a sports team, you want to talk about the Dogs. On a lesser level, the Falcons, I mean, it's kind of a painful thing, but if you want to talk about the Falcons, it's okay too. But you see, he didn't come in here with one of those other teams in the SEC. He knows where he is. He showed the appropriate respect. Now we can read the rest of his question. All right, he says, "Hey Ron, go Dogs. I have a deep depression in my lawn from not properly leveling before sod after a tree was removed. Can I fix this over time by adding the super sod level mix?" You can, Cody. That is a strategy. You can build it up over time. I'm not sure how big the depression is. If it's a really deep depression, let's say more than 4 to 6 inches, what you might want to do is cut the sod, assuming sod's even grass is growing in there, and pull it back and use some fill dirt to build it up to get it somewhat close to level to the surrounding area. And then you could use that leveling mix to finish out the final top dressing. Because if it's a big depression, it might not be in a season that you can get that done. So I would, take the more drastic approach again. Pull the sod, get a sod cutter, pull the sod back, build it up, and then replace the sod, and then top dress over that. And that's going to be the faster way of getting that depression, evened up. Again, it depends on how bad it is. You didn't tell me how deep it is, but based on what you're describing, sounds like it's a substantial. So just going strictly the top dressing route may not make a whole lot of sense, or might not be the most efficient way to get that area filled in. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. All right, next up we have a super chat. Our first super chat of the evening. This one is from Mr. Archie Amos. Archie's in the house. Thank you, Archie.
Super chat received.
He's, what's up with LG? He's been silent for some time. Would you create a measuring chart to properly calculate nitrogen amount applications? I could. I mean, the thing is, there's lots of calculators online for that already, Archie. I thought about doing that. Like, we did the fertilization program, like builder, the package builder, that calculator that we did. But one for nitrogen, there's not really one. I thought about it last year and I didn't do one because, again, there's tons of them already on the internet. So I don't know how much value it would really provide for folks. But if you guys want one, I can work on it, put something together and add it to the resources section if you think there'd be some value out of it. And as far as LG goes, yeah, I don't know, man. I gotta ping him. I gotta reach out to LG and find out what's going on. We gotta send out a search party. You're right. He has been missing for a while now. It's not like him. So yeah. But again, thank you for the super chat. You are the first one of the evening. So there we go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. You're now our show sponsor. Again, thank you for all the love and support. Really, really do appreciate it. All right. But yeah, you're right, man. We haven't heard from LG in a while. All right. Next up, we have Glycan's rule. It says, hey Ron, excited to get my lawns into shape. Got a top dressing, a core aeration, and overseeding with Hancock grass seeds for early next week here in the Pacific Northwest. Sounds like a lot of fun. If it works out, I'll have to send some pictures. No. Here's the thing. You have to say when it works out, not if it works out. It's going to work out. You're going to make it work out. I mean, it's not like you're doing everything right. You're going to be top dressing. You're doing core aeration. I mean, you didn't mention anything about nutrient, but I'm assuming you're also fertilizing properly. There's no reason for it to not grow. The other thing I would say is you're going to want to, make sure you're watering enough, which in the Pacific Northwest really shouldn't be a problem for you guys. You guys get plenty of rainfall, but yeah. Congrats on the project. Sounds like a lot of fun. And again, keep us posted. If you have some pictures of it, send them our way. Love to see lawns and projects and what you guys are working on. So definitely do that if you want to share where you are with the rest of the show, rest of the audience. All right. Next up is Mr. Jackie Bear. He says, happy stream, everybody. I holla. What's going on, Jackie? Next up is Colin. CPIMS is in the house. He says, what's up, Ron? Hope your Friday has been well. Tuning in for a good live stream and watching some baseball. Yeah, I've been doing well, man. I mean, got some video of the lawn for you guys right before the show. So I can actually show you what that looks like. The current state of the back lawn. This is a picture of how it looks. I mean, that's pretty decent for late April, going into May. Still not 100% yet. It's still got to fill in a bit more, but overall, quite happy with where that is. And then for video, because while pictures are good, video even better. This is the current state of the lawn. This video is an hour and a half old. So you can see what I'm working with there. And again, it's going to be nice and tight with Primo and the other additions I'm planning on making to it. So yeah, it's I'm pretty happy with where the lawn is this time of year. And yeah, some things I've been playing with in the program have been working quite well. Again, I'm gonna probably share them with you guys in the academy here first. It's really for people that have, I mean, if you're doing growth regulator, it's beneficial for everybody, but especially if you're someone that has common Bermuda in your hybrid Bermuda, it's something that I think you guys are going to like. Something I've been playing with, and it's so far so good. So far so good. All right, let's check out here. We got Lee. He says, I can't wait. Alex about the Falcons. Man, Falcons are a labor of love, man. It's being a Falcons fan is like being a Browns fan many years ago, but it's, at least we got a football team. That's the one thing I was going to hit pretty hard against, all the folks that come in from Alabama and be like, always with the Roll Tide and stuff. But I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to work on myself for this year and not hit back about folks. At least we have a football team, an NFL team. All right. So we have a comment here from Corey. It says, mowing height for a mix of all cool season grasses. Should it be the same or different in the spring and summer? Thanks. It depends. Yeah. So I don't have a cool season lawn. I know that some folks that have cool season turf grass, depending on like temps and your ability to water, they tend to let it get a little bit longer. But it's again, I don't have a cool season lawn, but my Bermuda lawn and Bermuda and Zoysia, we don't really change the height of cut throughout the season. The whole thing about saying, let your lawn grow longer in the summer, what that really, in my opinion, where that really comes from is as it gets hotter, the grass tends to grow faster, right? So right now Bermuda's growing, it's starting to wake up and start taking off, but really in June it's going to really start taking off and really start growing aggressively. And if you're someone that doesn't like to mow your grass, if you're not out there mowing it, like how I am, every other day, every 2 days, what can happen is if you maintain the lawn at a lower cutting height. So let's say you're maintaining your lawn at say an inch, right? And during the summer, you try and maintain the same mowing schedule, say once per week, that you can kind of get away with this time of year. What you're going to find is you're going to start having scalping issues because you're cutting off too much of the leaf in one go, given how quickly the grass is growing. So when people give you the guidance to say, hey, as it gets to be summertime, let your Bermuda lawn get longer, that's really to give you some headroom to be able to cut off more leaf and still have the lawn be green. But if you're someone out there that's mowing regularly, you can maintain a lawn that looks absolutely fabulous, even at shorter mowing heights. It's just that your mowing frequency has to go up, or you have to use growth regulator, Primo Max, or a combination of the two, right? So again, once like this time of year, pretty much I'm mowing every other day. That's, even though the lawn doesn't need it, it's just a kind of routine I get into, and that works well for me, especially with me using growth regulator, that I can keep the lawn really at like 5/8 if I wanted to, but normally around 3/4 of an inch the entire season, and the color still looks fabulous, the lawn still looks great. But the summer thing is really more if you are doesn't like to mow your grass a lot and you don't want it to turn brown in between mowings, then let it get a little bit taller. But as far as Bermuda, it'll tolerate lower cutting heights in the summer with no issues at all. So. All right, the Bermuda lawn scientist says, is there an upper limit to how much Caravan Pro G I can put down in one application? I mean, not a practical limit. I mean, I've, when I was using Caravan Pro G and when I was using, even with Essential G, I've gone as heavy as, on my front lawn is 1,700 square feet thereabouts. I've gone as heavy as an entire bag on just the front lawn. There's not really any adverse effects of it. So, I mean, if you were to go out and put down an inch layer over the entire property, yeah, that's too much. But I mean, most of you guys aren't going to be able to do that. So for a single application, what I tend to tell most folks is for the first app of the season, or if you are new to using granular biostimulants and you want to kind of ramp up, getting it into the into the soil, getting kind of loading things up, you can go a bit heavier in the season at the start of the season, but then transition to that maintenance rate as things progress. So month to month, you can back it down if you want to. For example, on my lawn, I do 4 bags of Essential G over right around 12,000 square feet. So it's still a little bit heavier, but it's not anything that I would consider anywhere near too much, So for most people, not really, because you're going to be more budget limited than you being able to put enough down to where you would cause any problems. You said think about 40 pounds per thousand of Caravan Pro G. Yeah, I mean, I've not gone that heavy. I've done like a 40-pound pack of Essential G over 1,700 square feet. But again, I can't see that would be a problem. Again, if your wallet will stand that, have fun. Knock yourself out. And as far as it being a waste, no, not really, because you got to realize there's 2 major components to Caravan Pro G. There is the compost and the biochar. The compost breaks down and goes away over time, but the biochar hangs around for a long time. I mean, it's the time that it can be resident in the soil can be longer than we're going to be around. We'll all be dead and gone. The biochar you put in the soil will still be there. So is it a waste? No. If your budget will allow you to put down more, and again, load things up, you're just going to get the benefits better, which again is you're going to get more. You get more out of the nutrient that you apply. So you think about the way biochar works. If you ever look at biochar under a microscope or activated charcoal under a microscope, it's got all these pores throughout it. And what happens is whenever you apply fertilizer to your lawn, it attracts those. So you can almost think of it as like a safety deposit, for lack of a better term, like a safety deposit box or like a bank for nutrient that it can make available to the plant. So it's as far as you being able to fertilize less and still get a great stand of turf grass. That's one of the big benefits of biochar. And no, it's not really not a waste at all. Again, if your budget will allow you to apply it out at a bag per 1,000, by all means go for it. But I would say personally, I would do that at the beginning of the season, and then ramp it down, then back it off a bit, as you're doing it month to month. So you think of it, yeah, what Zilla says, kind of like a sponge initially, but then a sponge that can release the nutrient over time. So it allows you to get more out of your fertilizer. So great question. Hope that helps. Let me know what you end up going with and how it works out for you. I think you'd be very surprised and very, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the benefits you get out of a good, solid granular biostimulant program. So good stuff. All right, next up, we have Jose Meja saying, hey, Ron, happy Friday. What's going on, Jose? Hopefully you are doing well, sir. Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. Tron Wellborn says, happy Freaky Friday, Ron. I don't know how freaky it is, but we'll take it. We'll take it. And then next up, we have Jose. He says, I got my PGR order this morning. Nice. Good man. Good man. So as far as growth regulator, what I'm going to be doing this weekend, what Jose's talking about, in addition to the 901C carbon kits, the liquid fertilizer sack that I spray on the lawn, I'm going to be using Primo Max. This is the growth regulator that I am a fan of, that I recommend, that I use on my lawn. As far as application rates, because I'm getting a lot of email about this, and rather than answer like the same question like 17 times in email, I could tell folks, you know what, come to the live stream on Friday night. I will take a small section and I will talk about the rates that I use. It's on the blog, but I'll talk about it here as well too. So if you are spraying Primo the way that I do it, which is what I recommend, instead of spraying it per conventional guidance, which is like once per month, which gives you between 3 to 4 weeks of regulation, depending on temperatures and whatnot. What I recommend is take whatever the monthly rate is for your particular grass type, cut that in half, and spray it every 2 weeks. So for hybrid Bermuda, the application rate is anywhere between 1/4 ounce per 1,000 up to 0.38, we'll call it 0.4 ounces per 1,000, right? So I spray it at the lower rates. So if we take my sprayer, right, which is a 4-gallon sprayer, if I take 1/4 ounce, so 0.25 times 4, that works out to 1 ounce of Primo Max. And if that would be what I'm spraying, what I would add to the tank if I were only spraying it once per month. But because I spray it once every couple of weeks, I'm going to add half. I'm just gonna get up here. I'm gonna get to right there. I'm gonna put 1/2 ounce, so 0.5 fluid ounces, which you see right there, 0.5 fluid ounces in 4 gallons of water, and I'm gonna spray that over 4,000 square feet. That is the half rate for Primo Max, and I just do that every 2 weeks throughout the growing season. And again, it produces fabulous results. Again, if you guys are watching the live stream, the entire lawn is already under regulation. And you can see the results that it produces. Again, just far less clippings. The color of the turf gets a nice deeper green, helps with the hardiness of the turf. There's just tons of benefits to using growth regulator. So really the only negative is that if you're not someone that sprays liquids on your lawn, which if you're watching our Friday night live stream on Lawn Care, I kind of doubt it. But if you don't like working on your lawn, then it's just like one more thing you have to do. So that's the only negative I can really tell you of using Primo. But it's awesome stuff for your lawn care program. I've got plenty of shorts that I've been sharing here this month showing like I mow the entire lawn and how few clippings are coming out of the lawn based on the fact that it's under regulations. So yeah, great stuff. Highly, highly recommended. I've got some good blog posts, great content on that in case you want something that you can read. And you know what? I'll share that really quickly too. So this blog post is on the topic of plant growth regulator and talks about the strategy that I use as far as spraying it at half rates every 2 weeks. So hope you guys get some value out of it. And again, I can't stress enough how much fun, how much of a big difference Primo can make to your lawn care program. The big thing I'll tell you is this: for anyone that is brand new to using plant growth regulator, one piece of advice I would tell you is that when you look at how little you have to use, you're going to be tempted to add more. And I would push you. I would recommend highly that you don't do that. I mean, you look at this, that 1/2 ounce, right? 1/2 ounce of that of growth regulator. You think there's no way that little amount would be enough to work for 4,000 square feet of turf grass, but it does. It works just fine. So whatever the rate happens to be, the correct rate for your particular grass type, stick to that rate. There's not really a lot of benefit to going heavier. You're just going to run into problems. You're going to create issues where you can cause like yellowing and all kinds of a host of other problems. So stick to the application rate, and you'll enjoy the results that you get with it. It's not hard to do. Stick to the race and have fun. All right, next up we got Tutrilla in Manila. He says, "Hey Ron and everyone, happy Friday." He says, "I'm looking forward to trying out the split app of Primo and the carbon kit. Can you go over the rate for me? Thank you." I should have waited for your question to come up before I went over through all that. Sure. So let's walk through what I'm doing as far as my program really quick, and it'll make it even easier. So let me go here. All right. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. That will bring you to this curated list of lawn care goodness. That's what I'm gonna call it. The curated list of lawn care goodness, the good stuff for your lawn. All right. So as far as what I'm going to be doing and what I'd recommend as far as my split out program, I spray the Release 901C carbon kit, which is the liquid fertilizer that I spray, and that goes down along with NutriKelp as well. So NutriKelp, Release 901C, BioSpectrum, everything that's in this kit right here is what I'm going to be spraying this weekend. Now for the liquids, you're going to say, oh, it's a lot of stuff to be able to spray. Well, how do I remember everything? Well, the nice thing is it's really easy. As far as the rates for 901C, and for NutriKelp, it's 3 ounces per 1,000. So if you have a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, here's what I'll do on Tutrilla. I'll tell you the individual rates per 1,000 square feet, and then I'll tell you how much you would add to a 4-gallon tank, assuming you're spraying 4,000 square feet. So the application rate for NutriKelp and for Release 901C that I like to use is 3 ounces per 1,000. The label will tell you can go from 2 ounces all the way up to 7 ounces. I've tested the entire range. If you want to use 7 ounces per 1,000, you can, but I mean, why not get more applications out of the product you have? And 3 ounces for me, I find that produces great results. So that's what I recommend. So 3 ounces per 1,000 square feet for NutriKelp and Release 901C. Release 901C, NutriKelp, 3 ounces per 1,000. For BioSpectrum, if you have the standalone bag like this, you're going to use 1 level tablespoon in 4 gallons of water. So that's it for BioSpectrum. If you have the carbon kit, it has those little pills. You'll use 1 of those pills, again, get it suspended, and that's enough for 4 gallons of water. So that covers you as far as the rates per 1,000. For Primo, like I said, the rate is going to vary depending on your grass type. So for Bermuda, it is 0.25 ounces per 1,000 square feet, but again, we're spraying it at half rate. So you're going to take half of that. So 0.15 ounces, right? So let's go to the easy part, which is if you're sitting with a 4-gallon sprayer, how do you go about mixing all this stuff up? So you can take your 4-gallon sprayer, fill it halfway to 3/4 full with water. So just water in the sprayer, nothing else at this point, right? So halfway to 3/4 full of water. You're gonna take Release 901C, and you're gonna take the rate that I gave you and multiply it by 4, because remember we're spraying 4,000 square feet. So 3 times 4 is 12 fluid ounces. So 12 fluid ounces of Release 901C, 12 fluid ounces of NutriKelp, 1 level spoon of BioSpectrum. So you're gonna get that suspended in some water and then pour that water BioSpectrum blend into into the tank, into your sprayer. And then as far as Primo goes, again, the rate's gonna vary, but if you have Bermuda, what I would recommend is 1/2 ounce, so 0.5 fluid ounces in 4 gallons of water, and that's gonna be good for covering 4,000 square feet. If you have Nutrizolve, you can add that to the tank as well, a micronutrient. That I apply at 6 ounces per 1,000. So that would be 24 fluid ounces of that in the 4 gallons of water. Okay. So if you're doing the full Monty, it's, again, to recap, 12 ounces of Release 901C, 12 ounces of NutriKelp, 1 level spoon of BioSpectrum, 1/2 ounce of Primo Max. And then if you're doing a micronutrient like Nutrizolve, I would do 6 ounces per 1,000. So you're going to end up with 24 fluid ounces of Nutrizolve in your tank. Finish, get that all suspended, get it mixed up and shake it up really good. Then finish filling the tank up, give it another shake, and then go out and spray your lawn. So that blend, what I just listed there, that is what I'm going to be spraying on my lawn this weekend. So that's what I do every couple of weeks. I mean, unless I'm testing some products, I mean, there will be some other things that'll go in there as well. But for the most part, what I use for my spoon feeding program, that is it. So hope that helps. Tutrilla, it's really not bad. Just remember, for any of the Miramichi liquids, it's 3 ounces per 1,000. So if you got, a 4-gallon sprayer, 12 ounces. If you got a big toe behind, you're spraying a big area, take whatever square footage you're spraying, and then multiply that say you're spraying 10,000 square feet, you'd multiply that by 3 and then add that much of the product to your spray tank and then go out and have fun. So it's not difficult. I spray in 4,000 square foot chunks because I have approximately 12,000 square feet and I got a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, so it works out well for me. So hope that helps you, Trill. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to drop them down below, but that pretty much outlines what I'd recommend and what I'm doing. And again, for Turfplex and for Nutrisolve, there's going to be replacements coming for those here soon because the Nutrisolve that we have is only a handful of it left. Once that's gone, it'll be replaced here with something new that I think you guys are going to like here soon. So stay tuned for more. All right, next up is KT Patriots. KT Patriots. It says, does your grass ever develop a grain by mowing in the same direction? I'm trying to mow in different directions this season to see how it will help. When you mean grain, what do you mean? So I mean the stripes tend to get burnt in, if that's what you mean. I guess technically that could be considered a grain. But as far as if the question is, do I experience any cutting issues from mowing a given stripe in the same direction all season long? No, because again, you guys remember, even though I mow on the same stripe each time, whenever I mow the lawn in that particular direction, the next time I mow literally 90 degrees to it. So it's because I'm always alternating 90 degrees each time, I get a really good cut. I mean, you guys can see for yourself. This is the lawn. This is how it looks. And I mean, there's not really any grain problems. There's not any cutting problems. I mean, it looks really good to me. You could, in years past, if you guys have been following the live stream for a while, I used to mow in 4 different directions. So I'd mow like this way. So if I had this is the lawn. So I would mow this way, this way, this way, this way. I'm like in all 4. I don't do that anymore because I really like the way the checkerboard looks, and I haven't really run into any problems with mowing issues or anything like that. So the one thing I tell you, KT Patriots, is that what I do to also help with that is monthly, I also verticut the lawn. So I turf rake it a couple times throughout the month. Weeklies, if you have the time, weekly's okay, but really a couple times per month is fine. And then monthly, I verticut, which helps to thin out the turf, which really helps with just the maintaining a great cut on the lawn throughout the entire season. Because what you tend to find with Bermuda, especially if you are real mowing it, it tends to get really thick and dense. And what you'll find is this time of year won't really be a problem. But then when you get into like June, July timeframe, you'll start getting scalping in areas that you didn't have scalping before, because the mower begins to kind of float on top of the lawn instead of like the roller and the mower riding on the surface. It kind of starts floating, and that tends to cause cutting issues. So the way you can prevent that is with verticutting, and really once per month is all you got to do. You don't have to get too aggressive with it. A once per month verticut will really clean things up, and your lawn will stay nice throughout the entire season. You won't have any cutting problems, and it's something that I highly, highly recommend. So more important than varying the pattern, which I do every time I mow, is once per month I verticut, which again gently thins things out, and that ensures that the way the lawn looks now, when I'm cutting it in July or June or whenever, when the lawn is really starting to grow a bit more aggressively, it still looks good. So I would consider doing that if you're looking to prevent any kind of mowing or grain or any kind of scalping issues in the lawn as the season progresses. So great question. All right, guys and gals, we are 40 minutes in. If you guys are enjoying the live stream, we got 120 something odd people in the live stream and only 47 likes. This makes me sad. We can certainly do better than that. So if you guys are enjoying the show, or if you just want a free way to support the channel, hit that like button. It costs absolutely nothing. It's completely free. You don't have to go to the store and buy anything. It's a great way to send good vibes to the YouTube algorithm and get more people coming to hang out and watch the show. So if you guys would mind doing that, I'd really appreciate it. Hit that like button. Have a sip of my lemonade. I broke out the Chick-fil-A lemonade. I wasn't messing around tonight, guys. It's May. It's go time. I got to break out the good stuff. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. All right. So we have another question here. This one is from the Instagram. He says, he says 8 bags for 8,000 square feet. Okay, that works. And then next up, Murph and Turf says Primo Max only in the growing season. Yeah, really, whenever the lawn is growing, you could start it as soon, and in my case, as early as like mid-April. It really depends. Depending on how the lawn is doing that particular year, you may be able to start it a bit sooner. as general guidance, I tell people wait until the May 1st, because for most people, like, their lawns are going to be woken up, you're going to be mowing, it's going to be looking good. And then that's the time to introduce growth regulator. But if you find that, hey, we've got a warmer spring and the lawn is looking great mid-April, and you want to introduce growth regulator, then it's not really going to hurt anything. So yeah, but yeah, only while the lawn is growing, because you think about it, whenever Bermuda goes dormant, one, it's not growing, so you don't really need to use growth regulator on it. And Primo Max is taken up by foliar uptake, so you spray it on the plant leaf and you allow it to dry. So you certainly want to spray it during the winter months. You'd be wasting product. There's absolutely no reason to do it then. But once the turf grass is growing, by all means, you can use Primo for all the benefits that it provides. So, good question. All right, next up is Jose Maija. He says, excited to get my soil test results tomorrow, ready to get started. Nice, very, very cool. And then next up, we got Kelly Ducey. Says, lurking from Puerto Rico, missing my lawn in Ohio. All right, man, well, thanks. Even though you're in Puerto Rico, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm sure your lawn in Ohio is starting to look its level best now. All the lawns throughout the country, for the most part, are beginning to wake up pretty nicely. All right, next up, we have DV as a comment here. A great question. It says, do you recommend Caravan G or 2 separate insecticides, or I think you mean fungicides? What do you suggest? So great question, DV. So here's what I would do. If all you're looking at is kind of like a combination product, and for budgetary reasons, you're trying to save a bit of money and still get a quality fungicide and insecticide down, then Caravan G is a good call for your initial application anyway, right? What I do is I use Celen as my insecticide, and I use Pillar SC or Headway G as my fungicide. So I like to decouple them. So the reason for that is a couple. One, the insecticide, or the active ingredient that's in Celen, chlorantraniliprole, is, as far as insecticides go, it's better for the environment. So as far as harming invertebrates like earthworms or pollinators, Celen is a better, or a more environmentally friendly insecticide than what's in Caravan. And second, it also covers more, controls more. So if you're looking for grub control and all you care about is grub control, then the insecticide that's in Caravan is fine. But Celen will also control grubs, control any kind of like any kind of turf caterpillars, so sod webworms, armyworms. It'll take care of those. So from a standpoint of offering better coverage, Celen in pretty much every way is a superior product in my opinion. So I'll show you here really quick what I do. So for what I'll be doing this year, what I've already done, and what I'll be doing for this for the month of May and again for June. So Celen, I've already applied that. I've already done my Celen application, my insecticide app. I do that. I tend to do that the first part of April. So that's already done. As far as what I will do for my fungicide app, so if you guys follow my content, I do a fungicide app in May and June. That's reflected in, I'll show you really quick. That's reflected in the calendar, which you will find right here. If you go to our monthly application schedule, you'll see that in May, you see your first fungicide app, and then in June, your second fungicide app. So for the first fungicide app, we'll go back to the section. For my first fungicide app, I use, this year I'm going to be using Pillar SC. So I'll do Pillar SC in May, and I'll do Pillar SC again in June. If you wanted to use Caravan, so let's say you wanted to do what I'm talking about, right? To where you want to do a preventative fungicide in May and in June. What I would recommend is, if you want to use Caravan G as your initial fungicide app now, so like say for May 1st, you get Caravan, you put that out, that's going to be absolutely fine. But what you would not want to do is for June to do that again. Reason being is that, remember, Caravan is a combination insecticide and fungicide, and you don't really need to do the insecticide 2 months in a row. So what I would do is, if you're going to use Caravan now, I would switch, whenever you get to June, I would switch to either Headway, or Pillar SC. So it just depends on whether you prefer liquids or granular. If you're a granular person, that's your preference, then do Headway in June, or Pillar SC. Again, either one will work. But if you're asking me what I do on my lawn, I use a Celen. You can use either the granular or the liquid, doesn't really matter, but they both work equally well. And then for my fungicide app, you can use either Pillar SC or Headway. In my case, I'm going to be using Pillar SC this year. So a Celen SC, and then Pillar SC is what I'll be, is what's going to be happening on my lawn. So I like, for me, I like to decouple the insecticide and fungicide app, because it gives you better control. Because a good example too, right, is another reason for it rather is that I like to get my insecticide app out in early April. Like that's worked well for me. Some people wait a little bit longer, but that works well for me. And if you're using Caravan, you can't really do that, right? You have to kind of choose. Do you want to do your insecticide in April, and then which is a little bit early for your fungicide app, or do you want to wait till now and do your combination, insecticide and fungicide? So whenever you separate them, you don't really have to make that choice. You can apply your insecticide whenever you want, and you can apply your fungicide whenever you want, right? So the negative to that, though, is it costs more. It's more expensive because you're talking about two different products. And in my opinion, they are two better products. But again, it costs more to do it that way. So it just really depends on which way you want to go. So if you want to use Caravan G, yes, I would do it for May and then switch to either Headway or Pillar for June. And yeah, that's going to produce pretty good results. And then for your fall, if you're going to do a fall insecticide app, you could at that point I would not use Caravan. I would use a Celepryn. I would use a Celepryn for that. So hope that helps. Again, I give you options here in on the calendar that we show. So it says, late May, you got Caravan G instead of, because I kind of list what I talk about there, instead of Headway and a Celepryn. So if you're going to use Caravan, you would not use Headway and a Celepryn. And then, for the second one, kind of like what I said, I take Caravan off the board because I'm assuming you've already done that, and you would use either Headway or Pillar SC. So kind of what I'm talking to you about, I put that logic or that explanation into this calendar or this that you guys can see here on the golf course lawn store. So hopefully that helps for you. If your budget permits, I would separate them. I would do a Celepryn and then either Headway or Pillar SC. So great question. Really do appreciate it. All right. Next up, we got a couple of super chats. Let's get those really quickly. No one here on Instagram. All right. Got a couple of super chats. We said this one is from FI2305. He says,
Super chat
he says,
received.
hi, what's the Verticut cartridge on an Owlet machine? I'll show you here really quickly. So do I have Owlet's website up? I normally do because I get this question at some point throughout the live stream normally. All right. So this is my, here we go. This is my Verticut cartridge. So depending on which one you have, if you have the homeowner mower, if you have like the Sterling, I believe they make a verticutter for it too. Yeah, so they make a verticutting cartridge for the Sterling, which you can see, which you can see right here, right? So that's an option. It would be this guy if you have the homeowner mower. And if you have the one of the professional mowers, like their, I don't know, like the Evolution, then it would be this guy. It would be this one right here. This is the verticutter, and you can see how nicely tightly spaced those blades are. Does a great job, thinning out the turf. So that's what you would use for the verticutting cartridge on an Owlet. So hope that helps there. I appreciate the super chat. And then next up, you have another question. You say,
Super chat received.
or is it okay to use the Scarifier cartridge? I have the issue you mentioned. Bermuda is very dense with some scalping issues. Yeah, so you can use the Scarifier. The Scarifier is good for really for removing debris out of the lawn. It's not quite aggressive enough to do what a verticutter does, because if you look at the verticutter, it it's a solid blade, whereas the Scarifier has those. I'll show the rest of the audience; they'll know what we're talking about, because you know what I'm talking about, but everyone else doesn't know what I'm talking about. So with the verticutter, you've got the solid blade that does a really good job cutting the runners, the stolons that Bermuda produces. So it does a better job vertically mowing the lawn than, say, something like this, the Scarifier you're talking about, right? So that's got like the spring-loaded fingers, which again are good for gently removing debris out of the lawn, but not so great for cutting. You know what I mean? So is it better than nothing? Yes. And if you were to do multiple scarification passes, I mean, you could thin the turf out a little bit going that route. But I would, if you can, I really would spring for a verticutting cartridge. I mean, I know it's a lot to have one of those to only use it once a month, but it really does make a big difference in the quality of the turf if you can verticut once a month. It really does help. A Scarifier just isn't quite aggressive enough to do what a verticutter does. yeah, it's just not designed to do that. If it were me, I would get an actual verticutter. You've already got the machine, it sounds like. So just if you can get the cartridge, that's going to produce a better result for you um, than trying to use a scarifier. So use the right tool for the job. All right. Next up, we have. Let's see what else we got here. We have some other. Again, thank you for the question. All right. Next up, we have a question from. Is it Adam? No, we've already done that one. Got to go back to where I left off. Next up is from Love Jones on Facebook. Says, cool season grass here. I have weeds. What post-emergent would you recommend without harming the lawn? Okay, so it depends. It depends on what kind of weed you're dealing with. So that's good. You told me what kind of grass you have. So cool season grass, that's good. But knowing what kind of weed you're trying to control really is important to knowing what to recommend. So, for example, if you were trying to control crabgrass and you had a ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass or like a tall fescue lawn, then quinclorac. Quinclorac would be a good choice. If you are, actually, I can just show you this. I'm telling you this. I'm telling, but I'm not showing. So I'll run through them really quickly here. So if you go to shop and in the weed killer section of the golf course lawn store, if you were trying to control crabgrass in a cool season lawn, then quinclorac would be a good choice. Again, for the grasses that I mentioned that tolerate it well, like tall fescue, ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, that would be a good option. If you are looking for a like a three-way, like for more like broadleaf control, you could use Triad. So this is a three-way, again, that also works well on Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue. So this, as far as one that's going to do a good job cleaning up a large variety of weeds, this is probably the one you'd want to be looking at, right? A good three-way like Triad. If you're dealing with, let's see, if you're looking for another option for crabgrass or for other grassy weeds, then Tenacity is an option. And then if you're looking for a specialty herbicide, let's say you've got the dreaded Poa trivialis or Poa annua in your cool season lawn, that's where a herbicide like Velocity comes in. So it really depends. Which herbicide is the best one? It really depends on what weed you're trying to control. If you're trying to control Poa annua and Poa trivialis in cool season turfgrass, then Velocity. If you're looking for like a general one that's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, I would go with Triad. Trying to control sedges, then Sedgehammer. So it really depends. When we have a cool season kit here, Love Jones, that does a pretty good job cleaning up the majority of the weeds that people encounter in cool season turfgrass outside of Poa annua, Poa trivialis, the ones I was telling, the harder to get ones. That's a good. So either I'd say Tenacity and Sedgehammer is a good combination, or you could also go with Triad, like a three-way. So I'll give you links to all of those, but as far as for heavy lifting without getting into specialty herbicides, those are the ones that for most people fit the bill. So it's not as easy as saying there's not like one herbicide to rule them all that does everything. Yeah, there's not really one that will do that. I mean, glyphosate, but that's also going to kill your grass, right? Which I'm kind of assuming you don't want that. So the kit that I'm going to link here in the chat, this would be, actually I got to do it down here because you're on Facebook. This would be the kit that we offer for cool season turfgrass. And if you're looking for a three-way, like for a broadleaf, something that's specific for broadleaf control in cool season grass, then this that I'm linking here in the chat for you now is what you can get as well. So hope that helps. Yeah. And then outside of those, you're looking at again, something like Velocity for Poa annua and Poa triv. And then if all you care about is crabgrass, so say you said, hey Ron, all I really care about is crabgrass, then just go get quinclorac. So I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be. I know it seems like I'm giving you a bunch of different products, but I'm not trying to be difficult. But really, the best answer really is it depends. It really does depend on which weed you're trying to control. But the links I just sent you will clean up the majority of the weeds that most people encounter in their lawns. And then outside of that, you can look into some of the more specialty herbicides. So hope that helps. Great question. If I can help with anything else, definitely let me know. But yeah, that should get you on the right path. All right, next up we got Aaron Pate. He says, I've used Celsius numerous times in comparison to another product I use a lot, being Change Up. Ron, I think for the weeds, they both treat Change Up a superior product. Put it in the store. Yeah, I have to look at Change Up. I mean, the thing with that, I'm not sure about like temperature restrictions. I have to look at it and see if there's any temperature restrictions for that, Aaron. I like Celsius because you can spray it. One, it controls a ton of stuff. That's thing one. But then you can also spray it over a broad temperature range with very little chance of causing injury to the lawn, which is why I recommend it so much. In other words, if I have to recommend a herbicide to someone that is looking for something that is like what the pros use, but doesn't but has a certain margin of safety when you're applying it, meaning you really have to really be really super heavy-handed to mess up using Celsius. That's a big part of why I carry the ones that I carry in the store. There's like I've told you this before in the past, like folks have said, why don't you carry Dismiss or why don't you carry Speed Zone? I mean, great herbicides. That combination, if you guys are looking for a relatively inexpensive herbicide to do a lot of cleanup of weeds in your lawn, Dismiss and Speed Zone work really well. The only negative is that they're going to temporarily discolor your turf grass, and most people don't want to deal with that, right? So I tend to take the approach that the products that I offer can produce results while minimizing the chance of injury to your lawn. And I have to also assume that the person that's going to be using it may not be something that's a pro at spraying products. So ones that have a certain margin of safety behind them is also under my consideration as well. So that's why you see I don't really carry. I mean, I carry what I think to be a good selection of herbicides, but not everything because of the audience. So hope that helps, Aaron. I'm glad you're getting good results with that. And again, I've heard good things about Change Up, but it's not something we're carrying at this point. I'm not saying won't at some point, but just not right now. All right, next up is Matthew Whitson. He says, good evening, Ron. Thanks for all the work you do. I appreciate that, Matthew. Thank you for taking some time to come out and hang out this Friday night and also say that you're getting some value out of it. So thank you so much for that. I really, really do appreciate it. And then next up, we have a comment here on the gram. Let's see here. It says, hey, Ron, great show so far. Just started digging into Michigan State's growing degree days chart for pre-emergent applications. Any experience with it? I'm considering incorporating it as a guideline. No, I've heard of that. I've heard of that, people trying to treat pre-emergent along the lines of how people also use growing degree days as a tool for getting really accurate on your growth regulator apps. It's not something that I do. I mean, I do my growth regulator app, sorry, my pre-emergent apps really twice per year, once in the spring, once in the fall, and that works pretty well for me. I'll have to do some more research into it, and like most things, you have to kind of ask yourself if the juice is really worth the squeeze for most people. You know what I mean? So while I have heard about it, I've not personally done that. And because I get pretty good results with what I'm doing now, I don't know that it's something that I would be really apt to change really quickly. I mean, if you lived like say in Florida or somewhere where you have like pretty much like a year-round growing season, like South Texas, then there's a lot more value, maybe a bit more value of like continuous pre-emergent apps. But I mean, really, here in the Southeast, we do pretty well with a pre-emergent app in the spring and then one in the fall. And if you do a good job, mowing your lawn, keeping it nice and thick, and that's pretty much all you need to keep it weed free. So thanks for bringing that up. Again, I have heard of it, but not something that I've done a ton of digging into because it's not something that I think that I would do in my program. Kind of like growing degree days for growth regulator apps. It is a more precise way of applying growth regulator. Having said that, like applying it spraying Primo at half rates every 2 weeks works really well too. And it's something that you can easily teach someone that is not want to, consult a calculator and get an understanding of how growing degree days work. So hopefully that helps. Great comment. But again, not something that probably I'll be doing in the near future. All right, next up we have Jose Meja. He says, hey, Ron, what's a good way to weigh out your granular fertilizer? A scale. I mean, I'm not trying to be a smarty, but yeah, you can use like a scale to do it. You can, just use, I've used a bathroom scale. You can use a scale that you use for weighing like fruit, like a hanging scale. Because the nice thing about a hanging scale and like a bathroom scale is, if you use a bathroom scale, you have to put the bucket on it, and they don't have a way to tear or to zero out the scale to take the weight of the bucket out of it. So if you use a hanging scale, that's something you can do. So you can set the scale up, put the bucket on it, zero the scale, and then add your, however much fertilizer you're trying to add in and measure it. Whereas if you use a bathroom scale, you have to just kind of subtract the weight of the bucket, which again, not hard, but it's just one more thing you have to do. So yeah, a hanging scale or a bathroom scale can work fine if you're okay with doing a little bit of basic math. All right, next up we have No Name is in the house. No Name is in the house. He says, hey Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts, happy Friday. The weather is really nice here in Georgia. Enjoy the mow. Let's get those likes up. I appreciate that, No Name. Yeah, man. So if you guys are enjoying the show, definitely hit the like button. It costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel. Hit that like button. I really would appreciate it. Makes Ron a happy lawn care guy. Makes me sleep well at night. Makes me, when I'm out on the lawn, makes me feel good about myself. All right, next up is Robert Thomas. He says, hey gang, what's going on, Robert? And then next is Fresh Apples. He says, half my lawn is still dormant, slowly waking up, even though most of the neighborhood is all greened up. Should I worry? Also, can I still apply Primo Max, or should I wait until my lawn is fully green? Without seeing pictures of the lawn, it's hard to say, but here's what I would use as a measurement for when you start introducing growth regulator. If you're regularly mowing the lawn, so if you're out there mowing it and there's clippings coming off the entire lawn and it is largely greened up, meaning like there's green throughout the entire lawn, then yeah, you can start using growth regulator. If it's not greened up yet, so if you have parts of the lawn that are still fully dormant, then I would not use growth regulator as yet. I wouldn't introduce Primo just yet. It's not really a race, Fresh Apples. I mean, again, over the course of the next couple of weeks, your lawn should catch up to the rest of the neighborhood. But yeah, I would introduce Primo whenever you are regularly mowing the lawn and it's actively growing. That's when it really makes sense to do that. So hope that helps. Great question. It's a good one as far as using growth reg, and yeah, Primo is a great choice. It sounds like you just got Humic Max, so maybe you haven't even started feeding the lawn as yet. So that could be why it's a little bit behind the rest of the neighborhoods. But again, yeah, once the heat fully gets here, your lawn should catch up and do well. I would not worry about it too much. Should be just fine. All right, next up is Terrence. Terrence Stamps. He says, good evening, Ron and everyone. Let's get those likes up. I appreciate that, Terrence. And then next up is Joe Cox. He says, good evening. I hope all is well. I've purchased a Pro Plugger. Have you ever used a Pro Plugger? And if so, how are your results? I've not personally used one because I've never really had to transfer plugs in my lawn, Joe. I've never had to do that. If you want to see like someone that uses a Pro Plugger like all the time, like go check out Jordan's their content, the Lawn Tools. Go look at their channel. They're always out there. They have like a regular Pro Plugger. They have like a square one. They've got like tons of different ones for pulling plugs out of a lawn. And to answer your question, they work great. They work great as far as helping the grass grow in an area where there was some damage. So yeah, they absolutely work. There's not really it's as far as if I were trying to fill in a bare spot in my lawn, and I wanted to be absolutely sure that once the grass grew and it matched the existing lawn, a plugger is the way to go. Like that is the way to do it. Grass seed or even sod can be kind of questionable depending on where you get the sod from. And when it comes to Bermuda, grass seed is almost never going to match the hybrid that you have in your lawn. So for that reason, I'd really recommend staying away from it. Okay. Next up is Terrence Stamps. He says, Ron, I want to thank you and everyone in the Golf Course Lawn Academy for their help in answering my questions and helping me identify the unknown weed in my lawn later. Yeah, no worries, Terrence. That's what we're here for. It's again, you put the team on the case, and that's the nice thing about that is it's a really good group of guys and gals, and all jump in to help each other out. So yeah, I'm glad that it was useful for you. Good stuff. All right. Sean Murphy is up next. He says, happy Friday, Ron. I can't thank you enough for the amazing customer service yesterday when we spoke. You went above and beyond to make sure everything was in order. Guys, hit the like button. You are very welcome, sir. The way the business is run is I always say I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated if I had a problem or something happens. So yeah, that's what I aim to do. That is what I aim for. Try to have an exceptional experience on the store. Doesn't always happen, but that is what we aim for more often than not. All right. Fresh Apple says, so on your website, it says for the Scott's Edgeguard 3.5 setting for Humic Max. Yep, for the 3 pounds per thousand. If I were to bump the application up to 5 pounds, do you have an idea on what the setting should be? I would go up to 4 fresh apples. So from 3.5 to 4. So here's what you would do. This is a great question. So what we can, I'm not sure how big your lawn is, but if you have a 1,000-foot section, 1,000-foot area of the lawn, so a 20 by 50-foot area of the lawn, what you could do is you could put 5 pounds of Humic Max in the hopper, and you could bump the rate up just a little bit, like from 3.5 to 4, and then walk that 1,000-foot section of the lawn and see if it's empty. If it's empty, then you're good. Then you're good to go. Then you got it right. If it's not empty, you may have to bump it up a little bit more. And it's gonna take some tweaking to figure that out. There's a reason why. Like I thought about adding a calibration for the higher setting, like the 9/10 of a pound application rate that Lebanon does on the bag. But I figure, in my mind, it's just going to cause confusion because you're going to have 2 spreader settings, one for like 3 pounds per thousand, another one for the higher rate. I just thought it would be more confusing, and that anyone that wants to apply it heavier is just gonna dial it up a little bit. So what I would do is what I said is, if you can get a 20 by 50 foot section of your lawn, add 5 pounds of Humic Max to the hopper. So don't go and throw the entire bag in there, put like that much in there. And dial up the spreader just a little bit. I don't know, maybe 4, maybe 4.25, maybe more than just 4, maybe 4.25 is maybe what you need to go to. And then walk that section and see what you have left over, if anything, when you're done. And after 1 or 2 times of doing this, you'll have it figured out to know what calibration equates to the higher rate, or 5 pounds per thousand for Humic Max. So hope that helps, sir. You're just gonna have to play with it a little bit. I would start at 4, maybe 4.25, and see how you get on from there. All right, next up we have Tony Israel. He says, hey Ron, is it feasible to use only Nutrizolve during the growing season? No granular fertilizer? No, not really. So Nutrizolve is strictly a micronutrient, right? So it's if you look at a soil test kit or the My Soil test kit, it's the lower end of the chart, right? So your iron, your copper, your boron, molybdenum, zinc, manganese. So it's like those trace elements that turfgrass also needs. Really, I mean, as far as the nutrient that do the heavy lifting on your lawn are the big 3, right? Your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium. On most lawns, nitrogen and potassium, absolutely. So if you're neglecting to add those and only doing a micronutrient, what I think what you'll find is over time, the color of the grass is just not going to do well. The turf is just not going to look as good as it would look if you're also feeding it a balanced diet, which is, again, nitrogen, potassium, and then also Nutrizolve, in my opinion. And then phosphorus really only if you need it. So I hope that helps, sir. To answer your question, no, I would not only spray a micronutrient on my lawn all season long. I don't think that's going to be enough for, to meet the nutrient demands of your turf grass. So yeah, nitrogen is important. Like there's a reason why it's the big boy. Like your lawn needs a lot of that. Needs more of that than pretty much any of the other macros in most cases, right? So nitrogen and potassium I apply pretty much every month. On phosphorus, I only recommend for people to apply that if your soil test results say that you need it. And then micronutrient like Nutrizolve, it helps fill in those micros. But for most people, apply a micronutrient because they want that deeper green that giving a little kick of iron can provide. So yeah. So in other words, if we were going through this, if you had just asked me if I had a choice between applying, say, just a nitrogen and potassium granular fertilizer or only a micronutrient, I would like 1,000 times, and twice on Sunday, I would go with the nitrogen and potassium fertilizer and omit the micronutrient. Granted, both is better, but I would not like Nutrizolve does not meet the needs of a growing lawn. You want to have some nitrogen, some N and K going in there regularly. So hope that helps, sir. It's a great question, but no, it's not what I would recommend or do. All right, next up, We have fresh apples. He says, I'm not sure if I should get the 901C carbon kit because I have a bad sprayer, a Scott's 1-gallon pump sprayer. I'm worried I'll possibly burn my lawn because of the uncalibrated application rate. Yeah, no, not really. So even if you have a 1-gallon sprayer, 1-gallon pump sprayer, here's the thing. When it comes to using a sprayer, whether it be a battery powered sprayer or a hand pump sprayer, it really is the Indian more so than the Arrow. Now, granted, I don't know how consistent the sprayer you're using is going to be, but there are people that use like the you ever see like the hand crank one, the hand pump ones that where the handle's on the side. Like you can get good results using those as well too. But again, in other words, I'm trying to help you to appreciate that you don't necessarily have to have like an expensive, battery powered 4-gallon backpack sprayer to get a good result spraying liquids on your lawn. It is easier, like it's more consistent because it's pretty much the same flow rate the entire time. So it makes it easier to get a more consistent result. But you can still use like, you can still work with what you have and get a decent result with spraying liquids. The application rates that I give for Release 901C are really on the low end. So unless you get out there and spray, a gallon's worth of product in, I don't know, like 200 square feet, you're pretty unlikely to burn the lawn. You know what I mean? It's not likely you're going to burn the lawn with Release 901C unless you're super heavy handed with it. So I would not let not having, an expensive battery powered sprayer hold you back from being able to spray liquids on your lawn. Here's the thing too, you can also get like a relatively inexpensive sprayer on Amazon, like a 2-gallon pump sprayer, or you can go to one of the big box stores and get like a small, like they have 4-gallon sprayers that are not that expensive. And those can work well too. So, if spraying liquids are going to be a thing you're going to be doing on your lawn consistently, then yeah, invest in a good sprayer because it's just going to produce a better result. But if you, in other words, if that's all you got, I wouldn't want you to think that you can't get a decent result using that. You just got to be a little bit more careful and, make sure that, however you're pressurizing it, like in other words, if you go through and you calibrate it, and when you calibrate it, you do, I don't even know if that one has like a bleed off valve to where the pressure is the same, but if you pump the sprayer up with say 20 pumps, right? And you go out and you spray, you do your calibration, then you're going to make sure that you do the exact same thing every time, to try and make it as consistent as possible. So again, I would not let not having a battery powered sprayer hold you back. You can still spray, Release 901C or any other liquid fertilizer, especially if you're spraying it at the low rates. You know what I mean? Unless you're really heavy handed, you shouldn't burn. You're really, it's really unlikely you're going to burn the lawn by doing that. So hope that helps, Fresh Apples. But again, it sounds like you're really getting into your lawn. So, save up, and see about getting a proper sprayer. Again, you can get one at the big box stores and those will work just fine for what we're trying to do here. It is more the Indian than the Arrow is what I'm trying to say. All right, Moro Mercilio's up next. He says, "Hey Ron, what's going on, Moro? Hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully I get to see you at the turf party if whenever Real Rollers announces that, which they haven't yet. I got to get with Lee and find out when that's going to happen. But if they're going to have a turf park party, hopefully you'll come out and be able to say hi again, see you and see how everything is going, and we'll have to catch up. All right, next up we got Jared George. He says, hit the like button, Ron. When it comes, hit the like button, Ron. When it comes to small high spots in Bermuda, instead of leaving or leveling around it, is it bad form to just aggressively scalp even past the dirt and just sprig or plug to regrow it? I mean, it's hard on your equipment. I wouldn't do that. I mean, if you have a high spot, I would either level around the high spot to take the, to reduce the approach angle to the high spot. Or if it's that big of a deal, you can look at, again, same thing I said, you can pull the sod up, remove a little bit of material and then put it down. But I wouldn't use your mower as a way to try and, knock down a high spot in your lawn, because one, you're really doing more injury. You're doing more injury to the grass than you are to the dirt. And it's just really hard on your equipment. So I would not do that. I'm going to say that's a party foul. I'm going to call party foul on that one. Yeah, let's not do that. I would not use your mower as a way to reduce high spots in your lawn. I'm looking for a sound here that I was going to play, but I can't find it. But yeah, no, don't do that. I wouldn't anyway. All right, next up is Sam's Outdoor Adventure. He says, hey, Ron, I haven't done any pre-emergent this year, and I have a ton of horseweed, not one I'm really familiar with. He's in my Bermuda. What's the best thing to use to kill them and not harm my Bermuda? I use a battery backpack sprayer. I'm not familiar with horseweed, Sam's. I'm not sure what you would use for that. Let me look here really quick. I may have to get back to you on an answer for what herbicide will do that. Because I'm not familiar with what controls horseweed. Let me just look at the Celsius label really quickly here, and if it's not on there, then I'm gonna have to owe you a an answer after the fact. Let's look here really quickly. Horseweed, of course Celsius controls it because it controls almost everything, right? Yeah, so looks like horseweed is on. Let's see here. Am I lying to you? Yeah. So horseweed is on the label for Celsius, Sam. This is a good guess. So that's what I would use. As far as rate, it is listed under the like not the high rate, like the medium rate for Celsius. So yeah. So this is what I would say you're gonna want to go with. Go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and then go to weed killer, and you can pick up Celsius. If you, depending on how big your lawn is, you might be able to get by with just using one of these individual use packets. At the low rate, it does up to 4,000 square feet, high rate 2,000 square feet. So if you're just spot spraying, one of these might be okay. If you need something that's larger, then you can go with the 10-ounce bottle. So it just depends on how big an area. Like this does several acres. This does, for up to 4,000 square feet. And then what I'd highly recommend is when you're spraying Celsius, to use surfactant with it. We have like a mini kit here that has Celsius, dye, and surfactant. So I'd highly recommend using surfactant with Celsius for best results. And yeah, so I'll send you a link here in the chat for that. And that is what I would use on your Bermuda lawn, because again, Celsius, great product. You can spray it over a large temperature range, and the chances of you injuring your lawn, as long as you're sensible with how you spray it, are very slim. So there you go, Sam. Tagged you there in the comment section, and you should be able to use that and be good to go. Appreciate the question. Next up is Moro. He says, question, is it too late for pre-emergent app here in Georgia? It's not too late, but you're not going to get as much out of it as if you'd applied it in like late March. In late February, early March timeframe. So we are sitting now in the end of April going into May. So, I mean, you're going to get limited benefits. If you're going to apply a pre-emergent Moro, what I would say is go with Dimension, go with pre-emergent with dithiopyranate. Reason being is that Dimension has the ability to control young crabgrass. So at least you'll get that out of it. So if it were me, if you're spraying pre-emergent or applying pre-emergent this time of year in Georgia, I would look at Dimension more so than prodiamine. So still better than doing nothing, but it's not, it's not ideal. 2 months ago, almost at this point, would have been a better choice. So I'll help you out here. I'll hook you up. I'll send you a link here in the chat as far as what I am talking about, and that is what I would go with. But Moro, the real question, man, I'm not trying to give you too much of a hard time, but the real question is, man, why do you not get your pre-emergent out? I mean, you're better than this, man. Let me get this straight. You're asking for a friend, right? You're asking for a neighbor or cousin or somebody else. You're not asking for you. You're asking more for somebody else. I get it. I got you. But for them, for your friend, this hypothetical person, if you're going to be applying a pre-emergent this time of year and you're trying to get something out of it, I would go with Dimension personally over prodiamine. Not too late, but you're not going to get good results if you've done it a couple months ago. All right, next up we have, I already covered that, Jared. Next up we got Prolific Fishing. Says, Big Ron, should I level now or just wait another month? Just aerated today, watered well. What do you think, sir? It depends, man. How does your lawn look? How's your lawn look? Is it let's see here. Where do you say you are? You said, I'm in North Georgia, Sales and Humpty Hump PGA. Okay, cool. So in Northeast Georgia, yeah, you're probably fine. In North Georgia, you're probably fine to get out and level your lawn now if you wanted to. Most of the lawns in this area have woken up. Most people are mowing at this point. So yes, if you wanted to aerate and level, you absolutely can. Like most of the leveling that I've done on my lawn has been in the first part of May. So yeah, you're in Georgia, you want to go out and aerate and level and have all the fun, do all the things, it would be absolutely fine to do that now. Now, some caveats. If your lawn is lagging behind where it's still largely dormant, then no, I wouldn't level it. But it sounds like your lawn's doing well. You're out there, you're already doing all the other cultural practices, and leveling now is a good time of year to do it, because we tend to get a lot of rain this time of year, and that helps, that aids with getting the lawn to recover after a leveling project. So yes, if you're in Georgia and you want to level your lawn, by all means, proceed, go forth, have fun, take pictures before, during, and after. All right, next up we have Peter UC. He says, Greens Master or Revolution? Not really a fair question, Peter. In other words, because you're comparing two things that are very different, in my opinion. The Revolution for the money, punches way above its weight. Like, I have mowed the front lawn with the Revolution. I've mowed the front lawn with the Greens Master. Does the Greens Master produce a slightly better cut than the Revolution? Yes. Is the Revolution a more fun mower to use, easier to live with? Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I hate to say this, I've been reaching for the Revolution more so than the GM on the front lawn here recently. Mainly because it's just easy. Like if I want to mow around the mailbox, I can literally get the Revolution. It's maneuverable. If I can get it around the mailbox, if I want to do that, it's just an easier mower to contend with. And to be fair, to answer your question and tell you why it's not really a fair comparison, is a brand new Revolution costs like $2,800. That's what they're going for now, right? A brand new Greens Master is like a 5-figure mower. Like, and the last time I got a quote a couple of years ago, it was like closer to 16 grand for a brand new Greens Master. So even though you're buying even if you buy a pre-owned one, which when I bought mine pre-owned, I paid $3,500 for it. You're still comparing a machine that really is like a $15,000 piece of equipment that's designed for hard commercial use on golf courses to run hours and hours every single day, to another mower that, again, is going to be used for commercial use by like landscapers and that type of thing. But the design ethos behind the Revolution is different behind the design ethos of, say, a Greens Master. A Greens Master is designed for mowing like tee boxes, collars. It's for mowing greens. It's designed to be quiet because golf courses, there's homes around golf courses, they tend to mow early in the morning before the course opens up, so the mower needs to be especially quiet. So it serves a different purpose than, or it's designed what it's designed for is different than what the Revolution is designed for. But between the two, there's not, as far as cut, there's not a big difference between them, man. I gotta tell you, Revolution cut punches well above its weight. It really does. So if I were in the market, let's say I'm in the market now for a mower. Let's say I can only have one mower for my lawn right now. The Revolution is a better fit than the Greens Master because it can cut literally every part of my lawn. So like the swale area, like the area between Alex's lawn and my lawn, the Greens Master won't fit in there. It's too wide. The Revolution does fit. For the slope and the back lawn, the Revolution can do both of those. For areas around fences, I will tell you too, the one thing about the Revolution is that's also nice too, is the right side of the mower, the zero edge of the mower is really nice. So with the GM, even if you pull the axles off, there's like, how can I explain it? So like the axle that comes out of the mower, there's like a shield. There's like a shield that goes around, or a piece of like metal that goes around where the axle comes out, that limits how close you can kind of scooch up to like a fence line with the GM. Whereas with the Revolution, there's really nothing. So you've got like just the end plate and then the reel and bed knife. So you can actually cut closer to fences with it than you can with the GM. So that's another like feather in the cap for that mower. They're both awesome, man. You really can't go wrong either way. You really can't go wrong either way. They're both really good mowers. You know what? I'll tell you this. If you want to see a comparison yourself, because I'm just kind of rambling on here. I did a comparison video on my back lawn between the Revolution and the Greens Master 1600. And you can decide for yourself, because literally I did a mowing comparison between the two of them, and you can look for yourself and you can tell me what you think. If I can find it. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Revolution 26 versus the Greensmaster 1600. Literally, I mow like a section of my lawn, and then I put the GM away, and I grab the Revolution, and I mow another section of the same part of my back lawn, and you can decide for yourself. And I will tell you, the GM cuts a little bit better, but unless you're here to actually see it, you're not going to be able to tell. So here you go, Peter. If you want to see a cool comparison video between the two of them, here you go. That's what I would say. But they're both awesome mowers. But it's really, again, to kind of put this to bed and move on to the next question. A better question, in my opinion, or more fair question, would be, say, comparing the Revolution to a True Cut, or comparing the Revolution to a McLean, or comparing the Revolution to a trimmer. In that case, they're not even the same universe. So for mowers at that price point, like Revolution True Cut, you don't even have to look at the True Cut. Revolution trimmer, no point. I mean, it's in a class of its own from that standpoint. But if you're putting it up against a Deere, a John Deere, or a Greensmaster, I mean, you're comparing two different things, really. You know what I mean? So hope that helps as far as helping you to experience it. Appreciate that it's not really a fair question, but for what you're spending, you're getting a mower that is far better than it should be given what it costs, especially compared to the competition and that same price point. So hope that helps. Decide on which one you like. You're going to love either one of them. The Revolution is a pretty sweet bit of kit. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, next up is Terry says, Ron, can you speak about the different types of iron? Chelate, ferrous, sulfate? No, not really. I can't dig too much into that. It's a good one. I mean, chelated iron is in a form that's going to be more quickly or easily available for uptake. Ferrous sulfate, I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to do some digging into it. You know more about that than me, probably, Terry. So I'll have to do some digging and to get back to you on that one. All right, next up we have Oliver. Oliver Ritcham is in the house. He says, what's happening, Ron? I laid down my second app for the season yesterday and got hit with hard rain. That's good, I guess, right? He says, I think some stuff may have gotten washed away. See the pictures in email for reference. Man, listen, you know what? All you guys, I will tell you, this is one thing we got to get over, guys. Us in the lawn care community, anytime we apply any kind of products to our lawn and then we get like a heavy piece of rainfall, there's like, oh Lord, shock horror. I've lost it all. I've got to go out there and apply again because the rain has washed everything away. It's highly unlikely that has happened. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of water. So even in this case, Oliver, I'm still going to say you're probably okay. That is a lot of water. But I would not go out and do another fertilizer app. You're just fine. So this is what Oliver's dealing with on his lawn. So that's quite a bit. That's quite a lot of water. But here's the thing too, Oliver, your lawn is flat. Like, look at it. There's not like a lot of slope there. So there's not a lot of places for the stuff to go. So, I stand with what I just said, that I would not go and do another fertilizer app. You're just fine. You got a really, really heavy watering in. That's a lot of water. But I really wouldn't sweat it. Yeah, but you got a lot of rainfall, man. Yes, I agree with you. But no, I would not go out and do another fertilizer app. It's just fine. Here's how you can tell. So you see how you got your driveway all around like your little island of grass? Go and look around like where the grass meets the driveway. Do you see a bunch of fertilizer sitting there? You probably don't, in which case you're fine. So I wouldn't sweat it. Really wouldn't sweat it. Anytime we get any kind of heavy rain, it's always like, oh no, it's all gone. I gotta go out and apply again. Not really. Even that, which again is quite a lot. I have to admit, that's quite a bit. I wasn't expecting that, but even that much, I wouldn't get out there and do another app. You're just fine. Wouldn't sweat about it. No worries at all. All right, next up is Tony Knight. He says, hey, Ron, thanks for your never-ending knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of ends to my knowledge, but I mean, I know a little bit about a few things. How about that? He says, my question is, do you think I could use a verticutter to level off the high areas of my lawn? Thanks. No, I wouldn't do that. Again, guys, I mean, first of all, a verticutter is an expensive piece of equipment, like the cartridge. Like, you guys saw the price for the cartridge for the verticutter. I mean, granted, they've gone up. They're like $4,000 for the C27, and then even for their smaller mowers, like this one back here, like the Sterling, it's like $750. So I would not use the verticutter to, remove material. I wouldn't use the verticutter as an excavators, in other words. I would not do that. It's an expensive piece of equipment. It's designed for verticutting. It's gently supposed to it's supposed to get into the sward, maybe just tickle the surface. It's not, you're not supposed to use it as aggressively as you're talking about using it for cutting down high areas in your lawn. So I would not do that. I really would recommend against that. It's expensive piece of equipment. It's you could damage the verticutter. You could also damage the machine that's running it. So for those reasons, I would not. I really would avoid doing that. I really wouldn't. So sorry to rain on your parade, but I would use the verticutter to verticut. So that's it. Final answer. All right, Dev is in the house. He says, "What's up, Ron? Looking forward to some good turf talk. Your lawn is looking fire to start the season." Now, coming from you, that means a lot. I really do appreciate it, Devin. It's looking good, man. I gotta admit. So, for you guys who are here, new in the live stream, you haven't seen the lawn yet. Earlier, I showed it. I'll give you guys a gander while I take a sip of my lemonade. That is the lawn today. In all its glory. I got to tell you. So, Devin, here's the best compliment. You get various compliments on a lawn, right? People will come by and say, "Oh, is your lawn fake? What kind of grass do you have?" Like, I had someone actually stop by today. This older couple, they were driving by when I was coming home. They said, "What kind of grass is that?" I'm like, "It's the same grass that's in the lawn across the street. It's Bermuda." Like, "Oh, wow, it looks really different." I'm like, "Yeah, it gets babied a lot." But the best compliment, I think this is, I still think this is probably the best compliment I've ever gotten for my lawn, is recently. It was on YouTube when I posted like a short sowing the lawn, and a guy asked, he says, "What kind of ryegrass did you overseed your Bermuda with to get that color?" And I was like, "There's no ryegrass. It's just Bermuda." Like that was like, I did feel pretty good about that one, about that comment, because if I can make Bermuda look like it's been overseeded, that's getting it. So I'm really looking forward to how it does this season. You guys are going to like the new micronutrient that will be releasing here soon, and then also the replacement for Turfplex. So let your heart not be troubled. I think you guys will be very happy with the replacements. All right, next up is Brad Larson. And Devin, you got to send me some pictures. I know you sent me some pictures on your via the gram, but I can't get those off the phone easily right now. So if you wanted to show people the current state of your lawn, we can. Now, I get it. If you're trying to sandbag, you want to get it perfect, you don't want to show everyone yet, I understand that too. But I'm just saying, the folks I'm sure would love to see the state of your lawn. All right, so we have a comment here from Shauna. She says, "Can I put out Lebanon 14714 to a wet lawn, or does it have to be dry? So much rain over the next week, and I missed my chance today." So here's the thing, Shauna. The kind of what I said to the viewer earlier is, ideally, yes, a dry lawn is better when it comes to applying granular products, right? Outside of like some herbicides that need a wet lawn. Having said that, if you can find, let's say it's raining all day tomorrow, but you have like a 2-hour window where there is no rain, like it's going to stop raining, it's going to be safe for you to walk out on the lawn, you're not going to slip and fall and hurt yourself or anything like that, and you want to go out and put out your fertilizer knowing that a couple hours later it's going to rain, yeah, that would be absolutely fine. What I wouldn't do though is, if your lawn is wet, go out and apply a granular fertilizer and then there's no rain coming, and just let that fertilizer dry on the lawn, because that's when you can start running into issues, or you increase the likelihood of potential burning or damage to the lawn. You know what I mean? So it really depends. If rain is coming, go get your fertilizer out. It's going to get watered in and you'll be good to go. But if there's no rain coming, then I would not do that. I would really stick to applying it to a dry lawn, and then water it in, 24, 48 hours later. So I hope that helps. If water's coming, you'll be good to go. Be just fine. All right, next up we got Brad Larson. Brad Larson, he says, "Hey Ron, I am doing everything right." Everything? Are you sure? I don't think I'm doing everything right. I don't know about that, man. But anyway, we'll let you have it. I think I'm doing everything right, but I'm already getting seed heads in my North Alabama Bermuda. Can you explain what causes these and how I can prevent them? Thanks. Great question, Brad. So seed heads, for a couple of reasons, they tend to happen. So this time of year, it's a little bit early still, but in May, you will definitely begin seeing them in a lot of lawns. As temperatures transition from cooler to hotter, so as the summer heat begins to arise, for Bermuda grass, it begins to throw seed heads as a stress response. So even though most of the Bermuda that we have around here is sterile, it thinks that, oh, it's getting really hot, I might die, I'm gonna put some babies out there so that more grass will grow in the future. So it's a stress response from the grass. the thing is, for most lawns, it's only like a 2 to 3 week issue. If you find that really more than 3 weeks goes by and seed heads are still around, it's not getting worse, that's when I would start looking into doing like a soil test and making sure there's not really any kind of nutrient deficiency. But for most people, it's a 2 to 3 week problem. So now the next question you had is, how can you prevent them? A great way to prevent seed heads, and it's part of why I also preach like Primo Max or growth regulator so much, is to use growth regulator. One of the side benefits of Primo is that it does suppress seed heads. So if you're gonna, I'm not saying you won't have any, but as far as, you know, you're look out at your lawn and all you're seeing is seed heads, like that's not really gonna be a thing if you're using Primo Max. The thing I would say though, it works better if you have it in the plant prior to when they're showing up. So it sounds like you've already got them, so you're gonna get limited benefit. But if you had started, say, the middle of this month, so say mid-April, prior to them showing up, it does make a material difference in the amount of seed heads that Bermuda is going to throw off. So that's another reason for you guys, if you guys want to not have seed heads in your lawn, or a lot less of them anyway, next month, another reason to incorporate a growth regulator. Like on the label, believe it or not, part of one of the use cases for Primo is if you have a cool season lawn. So before, like, velocity was a thing, where you had a way to selectively control Poa in cool season turfgrass. One of the uses for Primo was to help suppress the seed heads, to help suppress Poa seed heads, right? So even though it's going to be in the lawn, the thing that really makes Poa look ugly or make it stand out are the white seed heads that when it's flowering, right? So if you can suppress those where they don't show up as much, you can still see it if you're looking for it, but it's not quite as bad as if they're not there. So a documented use for Primo is for seed head suppression. So hope that helps, Brad. If you're someone that is on the fence, that's another reason, again, to use growth regulator. And it's something that pretty much anyone that has a Bermuda lawn in the Southeast is going to experience here in the next three to 4 weeks or so. Once it starts to get consistently hot is when Bermuda tends to throw seed heads. And I did a video about this a couple years ago. So if you're interested, I'll link it here in the chat. But the long and short of it is, it's a stress response. It's not a bad thing. Again, for most lawns, it's 2 to 3 weeks and then it goes away. But if you're trying to prevent them or just make them a lot less bad, what you can do is use growth regulator, as well as ensure that your lawn is getting an adequate amount of nutrient, and that's going to make it, again, like a 2 or 3 week problem. So hope that helps. And here is the video that I did from a couple years back on seed heads. So hope that helps. Next up is Gary Kellett Jr. He says, happy Friday, Ron. What is a safe product to use with my Flow Zone sprayer? So far, I'm just spraying for bugs around the house, cool season on a Chicago area. Okay, so you're asking for what's an insecticide for spraying for bugs around the house in your Flow Zone. It depends on what kind of bugs you're trying to control. So if you're trying to control like fleas, mosquitoes, ants, no-see-ums, and you're looking for a non-toxic solution, you could go with this. This is the non-toxic pest control that we carry from Miramichi Green. Great product, smells great, has a good control against a wide range of pests. Again, like mosquitoes being one of the big ones, and it will run just fine in your Flow Zone sprayer. So that's it. But again, it depends if the insects you're trying to control are not on the label, then some other insecticide. But as far as for something to spray around the house and just to get like the ones that are more annoying ones, and like mosquitoes really come to mind, the non-toxic pest control from Miramichi is what I would recommend. And I'll get you a link to that here in the chat. I should give you a link directly to the product. We'll make it easier. I'm not going to make you hunt for it because you probably don't want to do that, right? So make your life easier. I'll just give you a direct link, Gary. And there you go. So hope that helps, sir. All right, next up we have Mike D. Mike D from BC Boys, man. What's going on, Mike D? All right. He says, I have long stones all over my yard that float upwards, mowing at 3/4 of an inch. I verticut last week, scarified with the outlet 2 days ago and mowed. Should I scalp or let it grow to an inch? Email the picture. So the big thing that you've already done, Mike, is you said you verticut. Like that should do a good job getting rid of any any runners that are just kind of like floppy runners are just kind of just sitting on the top of the lawn. that's what that should have taken care of it between verticutting and then cleaning up the stones that you cut off with turf raking. You should have been good to go. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure why you'd still have a problem. Let me see if I got a picture here. Yeah, thank you for sending it in landscape. Way easier for me. All right, so this is what he said he's dealing with in his lawn. You guys can see Mike D's long stolens. Yeah, so what did you do? I'm interested to know, Mike. That's interesting that you have such large runners like that, just kind of sitting at the surface. What do you do as far as your pre-emergent app? Like, what kind of rates did you use? I'd be interested in finding out. Um, at any rate, doesn't matter. We're here now, and verticutting is what I would say. Like, what you did are the right things. Like that sequence, as far as, let me get you off the here so you can actually see it. Like verticutting and then turf raking to get those up once you've cut them, is a good plan. That's a solid plan. So yeah, as far as scalping it, I mean, it shouldn't be necessary. Like if you did a good job with the verticutting, like the stolens, like those runners I'm seeing there now, like in other words, that picture you sent me should not be how it should look post verticutting. Like after post verticutting, it shouldn't look like that. So yeah, and if it does, I'd say go verticut again before I would go out and scalp the lawn. So sorry you're dealing with that. It's odd that you have them just kind of sitting on the lawn like that, man. I kind of wonder what you did with pre-emergent earlier this year. Be interesting to find out. But you are doing the right things. Scalping, I would not do. Letting it grow longer, I really wouldn't do that either. You have a verticutter, use that, and that should help clean up the problem. All right. Next up is Brad Larson. He says, I want to say thanks. Collect the clippings. I've never done this, and the color and evenness of the cut was great. Do you still do this after foliar apps? I do, Brad. Yeah. So what he's talking about was last week someone asked me about bagging clippings versus mulching your clippings back in the lawn. I gave the pros and cons of each, and I said one of the big pros of bagging or catching your clippings is that the lawn just looks phenomenal. Like the color looks great. It looks really good after if you bag your clippings. And he's kind of saying, yeah, he did that and he likes the way it looks. And you're saying, do I still do it after foliar apps? Yes, I still catch my clippings after that. Keep in mind too, Brad, I'm not sure if you've seen the YouTube short that I did maybe last weekend or whenever it was, of mowing the entire lawn when it's under regulation and how few clippings come off the lawn when it's in that state. So yeah, it's to answer your question, yes, I still catch the clippings even after my foliar sprays. I still do that. Now what I do is this: I will go out and if I go out and do a foliar spray, like say if I go and do it tomorrow, right? I won't mow tomorrow. So the day when I go out and I spray my liquids, I don't mow that same day. But yes, I still catch all my clippings whenever I mow after that. So yeah. And I do agree with you. The lawn does look better after if you catch your clippings, but it is more work, and you gotta do something to get rid of them once you do. If you have a large lawn, you have a lot of clippings. So something else to consider. All right, next up is Clint Brock. Clint Brock. He says Dallas' forecast has 14 days of straight rain. So sad. Here's the thing, Clint. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this real quick here. So appreciate and enjoy these times now, because when June, July rolls around, the narrative from the great state of Texas is going to be, God has forsaken us. We get no rain. It's a desert. It's a drought. We got watering restrictions, all this kind of stuff. So enjoy the rain while you have it now. Here, having said that, you said you aerating and leveling was on the books, but it's got to wait. At least now I have a rear drum versus real ruts. Oh, cool. So you got like a real mower? That's cool. Nice. Yeah, man. But it's fine. That's no biggie, Clint. For 14 days, 2 weeks of rain, so be it. Enjoy the rainfall. You'll be able to level afterwards and be good to go. So I wouldn't sweat it. And enjoy it now, because when summer hits and you're not getting a bunch of rain, you guys will be complaining about that. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Next up is Jim Gregory. He says, hey, Ron, I'm doing your spoon feeding program on perennial ryegrass. Can I fertilize with Humic Max and apply the carbon kit immediately after cutting the lawn, or is it better to wait some time? No, you could do it. You could do it all right after each other. So let's say you mowed your lawn today, right? Or you mowed it today, and tomorrow is like fertilization day. You could literally go out and do Essential G, you could do Humic Max, and then once you're done with that, like literally right afterwards, you could go out and mix up the carbon kit and go spray the lawn. I've done that. I didn't do it this time because I did Essential G and Humic Max today, and then this weekend I'll do all my liquid sprays. But you can literally do them like one after another if you want to. So the sequence, which I have a short video that answers this very question on what order to spray lawn products in. It covers exactly what I just said. So if you're wondering again, it would be you do your granulars first, and it would be Essential G, Humic Max, and then your liquid sprays. That's the order that I would recommend. It's the order that I do with my lawn. And if you want that video, it's only a minute of your time. You can watch that here, Jim, that talks about the order for applying lawn care products. And I explain why, and it makes sense to me. So hopefully that is a useful. Order to spray products. I can't spell. All right, there you go. All right, next up is 870 Meg says, is there an alternative to humic acid? Yeah, I mean, there's people that like to use fulvic acid. Yeah, I mean, there's other biostimulants you can use as well in comparison to humic acid. I mean, humic acid is just one of the more popular ones. You can find it in both granular and liquid fertilizers. Fulvic acid, I mainly see that in liquids. There might be fulvic acid in granular fertilizers too, but I normally see it in liquid fertilizers. So yes, there are alternatives to humic acid. The one that comes to mind is fulvic. But yeah, but it's so available now. Why not just use humic acid? I mean, there's not. I mean, it's a good biostimulant. I would just use that. All right, next up we have Alan Coleman, not senior, but junior. He says, Ron, my soil tests for the last 3 years have had low levels of phosphorus. I've used balanced fertilizers in the past, such as the Yard Master 1212. Should I worry, or any tips? So yeah, Alan, so if you're using a fertilizer like that, that should work for bringing your phosphorus levels up. If you look at your soil tests, is it beginning to trend up? Like, is your phosphorus levels beginning to go up over time, or are they staying pretty much where they are? If they're going up over time, then I would say just keep doing what you're doing, or you could also bump the rate up. Because I think the rate that Alan does for all his fertilizers is like 3 pounds per thousand. It's like a 45-pound bag, and it's 15,000. Yeah, it's like 3 pounds per thousand is what I think that for the most part what they use for all their fertilizers. So what you might do is apply it at like 5 pounds per thousand. So you'll be bumping that rate up a bit, and that will materially increase your phosphorus levels. So you might want to try that for the season. If you're going to run with that fertilizer throughout this growing season, instead of applying it at 3 pounds per thousand, assuming that's all you're doing, then you might be able to bump it up to say 5 pounds per thousand, and then test again in the fall, and you should see a nice improvement in your phosphorus levels if you were to do that. So hope that helps, sir. Good question. All right, next up we have, actually I'm gonna say that one because it's a question that I'm sure someone else will have at some point, and why not save it for someone else? All right. Next up we got a super chat. This one is from Mr. Mike D. Actually, I got one here, another super chat I got to get to.
Super chat.
He says, I used Prodiamine for the first time this year for the spring. I might have read the label wrong and went heavy. Max yearly rate, spectacle flow for the fall. Okay, so even if you went at towards the end, closer to the annual limit for Prodiamine, it still shouldn't do that, because I spray Prodiamine in the spring pretty much every year near the annual limit. You guys know what I do. I typically spray it once in the spring, at 0.8 ounces per thousand is what I use, which is pretty much the annual limit. And I don't have those. That doesn't happen to my lawn. So you may have gone a little heavy-handed, is what I'm saying, Mike. So at any rate, no harm, no foul. You're here now. But going forward, you just kind of like most things I tell you, like you want to stick to those label rates. You don't want to go too heavy, because there's just not really any benefit. You can start having negative effects like what you're showing there, as far as like runners not tacking down properly. All right. So hope that helps, sir. Again, the nice thing about Prodiamine is it's going to wear off in a few months. And again, you have a verticutter, so you have a way to help clean that up. So just do that. And I would, I would just go from there. You're there now. There's not a whole lot you can do about it now. So just work with what you got. And again, appreciate the super chat. All right, next up is Lawn Guido. He says, what can I use to kill Dallas grass in Dallas, Texas? Well, the best thing to kill Dallas grass in Dallas, Texas is what I'd recommend is just to dig it out. If you have a residential lawn, your best bet is just to physically remove it. There still is a herbicide that will selectively kill Dallas grass, but it's no longer labeled for use on residential lawns. So that's kind of a non-starter. So what I would say is just physically remove it. That's going to be your best bet for dealing with Dallas grass. Dig it out, and over time it'll become less and less of a problem because there's not really a selective herbicide that you're supposed to spray on residential lawns that will control it. So hope that helps, Lawn Guido. Sorry I don't have better news for you, but at least you have some guidance going forward, right? All right, next up is Dartman416. It says, hi, Ron. Will applying an insecticide have a negative effect on the lawn if I spot treated for weeds a day before? No, it shouldn't. I mean, as long as you stick within the proper rates, it shouldn't. No, like those two things they're not really related. They're not, you know what I mean? So no, it should not be a problem. As long as you've sprayed, you apply the product at the correct rates, which again is true for pretty much anything you put on your lawn, there shouldn't be a problem. It's not like if you told me, hey, I sprayed Celsius on my lawn yesterday, and I want to go out and I want to go do an application of like another herbicide tomorrow. Like that, I'd say, yeah, it's probably a bad idea because you're going to be, it's going to be too much at a, in a short period of time, especially if you went higher on the application rates with both products. But if you're talking about doing spot spraying with herbicide and then doing like an insecticide app, that's going to be fine. There's no issues with doing that at all. Again, stick within the application rates, obviously, but that's not going to be a problem. All right, next up we got Alan. Yes, Alan Colin is seconding what I said. He says your best bet is to dig it up, and get the whole plant and the root when you pull it out. That's going to be your best bet. Dallas grass is horrible, man. And again, a couple of my buddies that have spray businesses, one of them won't even take on a lawn that has Dallas grass in it. So if someone calls him and says, hey, I want you to service my lawn, if it has Dallas grass, he won't even take it because one, he's not gonna sit there and dig it all out, and there's not really a way to easily control it. And according to him, I get like a ton of, when he used to do that, you used to get a bunch of callbacks because Dallas grass is not really a way to kill it without damaging your lawn as well too, right? You could use glyphosate, but that's not really an option for most people. All right, next up we got Terry. She says, I put down half rate of Primo, but would like to change to full rate once a month. Will doing this cause bronzing? Typically no, Terry. So here's what I would say. What you tend to have the yellowing or the bronzing, the tip burn that Primo produces, it tends to be the initial app of the season. So if you've already been spraying Primo at half rate, and now you want to move the rate up to the full rate for once per month, that should be okay. That should be fine. You shouldn't encounter tip burn, or if you do, it's going to be mild. But I wouldn't imagine you're going to encounter tip burn because for most people, it's the initial app of the season is when they tend to have that problem. So if you want to do that, by all means, go for it. But I will tell you, I mean, it's the nice thing with the half rate every couple of weeks is that the lawn pretty much never comes out of regulation throughout the entire season. You don't have to worry about that being a problem, and the chances of any kind of bronzing or tip burn, at least on your initial app, are practically zero. It's just not going to be a problem, right? So just something to consider. And if you're out there spoon feeding or doing spraying of the liquids, you can easily throw Primo in the tank anyway. So it's not like you're out there doing a special app just for that. So just something to consider. All right, next up is Our Fragrance Journey. And he says, guess what? Oh, this man again, you know what? I'm going to have a sip of my lemonade. We'll have to go out. How to respond to this. Listen, Mr. No NFL football team having, want to come on my live stream and start, talking about that other team. I don't understand it, man. I'm just start ignoring it. That's going to be the thing. I'm going to have to just say, realize it's going to be a thing that you guys from Alabama, because y'all don't have like a team like the Falcons. Granted, I mean, you guys could have the Falcons. If you guys want them, you guys could absolutely have them. That you guys want to come out here and just kind of throw shade on us folks here in Georgia. That's one thing I'd say too. I'd say Georgia, as far as fans go, we are a very dignified bunch. Like whenever Georgia, the Bulldogs win, we don't rub it in folks' face. We're not really ugly about it. We're, as far as just being as far as the upper crust of the SEC, I like to think that Georgia, represents quite well compared to, folks in other states. I'm gonna catch so much grief for that. Anyway, Brian's up next. Brian Hall says, "Happy Friday, Ron, and everyone in the chat. Greetings from Michigan. Let's get the likes up." Yeah, definitely. If you guys can, if you've been in the live stream for a while, there's 147 of you guys here right now, and there's only 127 likes, meaning that some of you have not hit the like or dislike, but hit something. Choose one, pick one. I prefer a like, but interaction is what I'm after. So if you are enjoying the live stream, hit the like button. It's absolutely free, costs you nothing, and it's a great way to support the content. All right, we have a question from Johnny Bravo. He says, "I'm in Atlanta. Can I put down PGRs yet?" Yeah, I mean, for most people, yes. If your lawn has grown in, if you're mowing it, May for most people is a good time to begin introducing growth regulator. What I recommend, Johnny, is introduce it at the low rate. So take whatever the monthly rate is for your grass type. So if it's Bermuda or Zoysia, like 1/4 ounce per 1,000, cut that in half and spray it every 2 weeks. I like the results that produces, and you don't really have to worry about it coming out of regulation throughout the season if you go that way. And for some guidance, what I'm talking about, I'm linking a post in the chat right now that talks about how I do that. You can find it for free on the Golf Course Lawn Store. It's free to read. So hope you find that useful. But yeah, I absolutely would start using Primo now. Great option. All right. Next up is Eric Mays. He says, let's see here. Is there an amazing, I like your video. This thing is amazing. I like your video. I've been following you and I'm trying to find my like button. The like button is the thumbs up button. I'm looking here. Where is it on YouTube? It's right next to, I don't know. It's the like button, man. It's right there. It's next to share. It's to the left of share and shop. How about that? So under the video, it's right there. There's a button that says a thumbs up. That's the like button. Hit that one. That's it. All right. Next up, we have Humpty Hump PGA. He says, Primo Max with some iron for the first time application, a good safety net? Sure. It is. I mean, the thing is, Humpty, is I can't think, and I said this before in previous live streams, I can think of maybe a handful of times where I've ever sprayed Primo just by itself. It's always been along with a liquid fertilizer of some sort. So these days it's 901C, it's the 901C carbon kit. So yeah, and then also a micronutrient as well. So it's yeah, it's a good idea to, a bit of iron is good. I would recommend a fertilizer with iron and nitrogen. That's what I would do. So yeah, it's a good safety net. But the big thing is just, if you don't want to have to worry about it, just spray it half rate. And then it's never a problem, right? And then next up we have Mr. Iowa Hawk 77 says, "How do I get rid of tall fescue weeds?" Okay, so what's the question? If it's a question you want to get rid of, and I'm sorry for having to go into more detail on this, but are you trying to get rid of tall fescue in a warm season lawn? Or are you trying to get rid of weeds in a tall fescue lawn? Because the answer is different. Like I've had viewers that have had some fescue getting into the Bermuda, and they've used Celsius for that, and it's worked great for getting rid of the fescue in the Bermuda lawns. But that's if the grass you want to keep is like Bermuda or Zoysia or Centipede or something like that. If you're talking about getting rid of weeds in your fescue lawn and you want to keep your fescue lawn, so you want like a herbicide that is safe for fescue, then like a 3-way will work. Tenacity works. Like I told you earlier, it depends on which weed you're specifically targeting. But for most people, like Tenacity and Sledgehammer do a pretty good job cleaning up most weeds. A 3-way also does a good job cleaning up most weeds. The reason why I like, for the same reason I recommend Celsius and Certainty so much, is that Tenacity and Sledgehammer, they don't really have any labeled restrictions as far as temperature, whereas 3-ways do, as far as for broadleaf control, they do a really good job, but you do have to be careful with them as temperatures get warmer so you don't injure your lawn when you spray them. So it depends on what you're after. So hopefully that helps, Mr. Iowa Hawks. If you have a cool season lawn and you're trying to get rid of weeds in your tall fescue lawn, then look at Tenacity, look at Sledgehammer, and look at like a 3-way like Triad that we carry on the Golf Course Lawn Store. If you're looking to get rid of Iowa Hawks, I'm guessing you're probably in Iowa, so you probably don't have Bermuda. But let's just say if you had a warm season lawn and you have fescue growing in it and you want to get rid of that fescue in a warm season lawn, something like Celsius would work well for that. So So hope that helps. I'm assuming that it's the former. Like you have a fescue lawn and you got weeds. You're saying, how do I get rid of weeds in my fescue lawn? I think that's what you're asking me. And if that's so, what I said earlier, again, look into Tenacity, Sedgehammer, or a 3-way like Triad. And if you want to find those, I'll link them here in the chat for you on the Golf Course Lawn Store. And those will do a pretty good job getting you all squared away. You can actually, I think this filter. Let me check this filter, make sure it's good. Yeah. So here's how you can know as well too, Mr. Iowa Hawk 77. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and you go to shop and then weed killer, which is where we are right now, and you click on cool season grass, which is I think is what you have, then the herbicides on here, make sure this is all correct. Yeah, all of these are safe for cool season turf grass, right? So this gives you a list that, depending on what you're trying to control, you could use on a cool season lawn. So hope that helps. Even better, I'll link this for you in the chat, and then that way you'll be all squared away. So ignore the first link, go with this one. Okay. Next up, we got a couple of super chats. Let's go here. You know what? I opened a can of worms with that whole UGA comment. I knew it. I was saying it, and I said, you know what, Ron, it's a mistake, but I couldn't help myself because the Alabama folks just don't know how to behave. They got no behavior. All right, James Smith comes in. He says,
Super chat.
He says, yeah, when it comes to UGA fan, all's good and love until it's Georgia Tech and Florida Gators games, i.e. cocktail parties. Wait, does Georgia Tech even have a football team? They do have a football team? I didn't even know that they had a football team. I thought they're all like people that like built the internet and, you know, did like great cybersecurity programs and robotics. I didn't think they actually played football. So Georgia Tech fans, do not send me a lot of hatred. I'm just messing with you. The company that I work at, there's a lot of or there were anyway, there are a lot of folks that went to Tech. And if you know, it's a funny thing. If you ever meet someone that went to Tech, they're a lot like Alabama fans. Like they all, like the folks that go to Tech think that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. They all they have their little Georgia Tech brotherhood, and they all kind of just, you know, kind of tech it up and just, they think that they're a special bunch. Kind of like, you know, Crimson Tide fans. It's kind of the same thing. All right, thanks so much for the super chat, James. I really do appreciate it. And next up, we have another super chat. Let's see here.
Super chat received.
He says, can the Celsius packets be stored in the tanks? I don't know what you mean. Are you saying, I'm not sure what you mean by the question, Emmanuel. So the packet, I think I've got one that's open here somewhere on the table. Or I did, yeah, I do. Yep. So this is like the packet here. And no, I mean, you wouldn't store, I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry. You would not put this entire packet in the tank. And if you're asking, can you mix up Celsius and leave it in the tank? I would not do that. I mean, I'm a big fan of like whenever you mix herbicides, like mix what you're going to use, spray it, and then leave the sprayer empty and clean. Like I always leave it clean when you're done with it, so you can always spray whatever you want next time. And you risk the chance of potentially causing injury and just causing problems, and just keeps your equipment better. It lasts longer if you don't leave stuff in it, right? So I apologize. I don't understand the question, but if it's, can you store the packet in the tank? I don't know why you would do that. So no, and if the question is, can you store Celsius in the tank? Some people do, but I really don't recommend that. I'm not a fan of leaving herbicides mixed up in a spray tank for extended periods. Like mix what you're going to use, spray it, and then move on. That is what I would recommend. So if you want to ask again or ask your question again, since I didn't answer it, I will. I'll happy to revisit it, but I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me. So my apologies for that. Okay, now the hardest part, figuring out where I left off. And I got it. Next up, we got Oliver. Oliverdom's in the house. He says, Ron, in May I will be scalping, aerating, fertilizing, and top dressing with sand. I like it. Is it worth applying Turfplex and Nutrizolve given fertilizer given my lawn was scalped? Yeah, I mean, are you going to take it down to the dirt? Or are you just going to reduce the height of cut? I mean, if you're going to take it down to the dirt, then yes, there's limited benefit to doing a foliar spray. But if all you're going to do is reduce the height of cut, then yeah, you can still spray Turfplex and Nutrizolve. I mean, there's still going to be leaf, so yes. So in other words, if you are scalping it the way that I would recommend, which is not taking it down to the dirt, yes, you can still spray Turfplex and Nutrizolve. Now, if you want to go do it Oliver's way, which again, totally your thing, if you want to go do it the way you want to do it and take it down to the dirt, then yes, there's less benefit to doing that than if you take it down to say half an inch which is, I mean, maybe just under half an inch, and then spray the lawn, that would be fine. Like you're still gonna, another benefit too, Oliver, is if you were to scalp your lawn as part of your top dressing project, say to just under half an inch, right? So there's still some grass or still some leaf. You could spray your Turflex and Nutrisolve, which is going to help the grass grow through the sand faster. And in addition, if you get this again, well, let me get the right one, like that, you're going to have a lot less chances for washout if you have grass, because the grass tends to hold on. It helps keep the soil in place. You know what I mean? So that's another reason, another checkbox for why you really want to take it down in the dirt. So if you take it down half an inch, maybe just under half an inch, spray your Nutrisolve, your Nutrisolve and Turfplex, and then top dress and, go out and enjoy life. So yeah, if you do it the way that I'm saying, you can still do that. No problem at all. And for the reasons I just explained to you, again, preventing washout is another reason to not take it down to the dirt. All right, Willard Sims is up next. He says, my yard is still brownish and it has some real, hang on, I'm starting over. My yard still has some brownish in it, but it has some real nice, I guess it's kind of green. It says, I put my blockade down a little late, or your barricade down a little late, and I have nutsedge all over. Should I kill it now or wait until my yard is completely green? Okay, Willard, so your lawn sounds like your lawn is still coming out of dormancy. You did barricades, you did like prodiamine, and you have some sedges in it. So can you kill the sedges now? Yes, you can absolutely do that now if you want to. The herbicide, what kind of grass do you have? So you didn't tell me what kind of grass you have, but I'm assuming that it's Bermuda or zoysia, some kind of a warm season turf grass because it was dormant, right? If it is Bermuda or zoysia, then, and you want to control sedges in it, you can use Certainty. So like this is the bee's knees for controlling sedges in warm season turf grass. That's what I would use. You don't have to wait. You can go ahead and knock off the sedges now. And yeah, you don't have to wait until the lawn is completely green to take care of them. What I would say for best results, Willard, is mix surfactant. So surfactant and Certainty, this combination, use both these together, is what I would recommend for best results for controlling the sedges in your lawn. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Surfactant for pretty much whenever you're spraying herbicides, unless the product label specifically says don't use mixed surfactant with it, then you tend to get better results with foliar uptake herbicides, like liquid herbicides, by using a surfactant than not using one. Like for a good example would be something like Velocity, like this one. The label for this, like this herbicide is designed for controlling Poanua and Poatriv in cool season turf grass, along with like dandelions and sedges and a few other weeds. Like the label for this specifically says do not. It has it like in big letters. Do not use surfactant with this. So this is an example of one product that if you were spraying Velocity to try and control Poanua in your cool season lawn, you would not use surfactant with it. But bearing there being some guidance on the label that says don't use surfactant, for the most part, you tend to get better results if you do. So hope that helps, Willard. As far as where you can get those, let me help you out with that. I'll give you a link here just to Certainty on the Golf Course Lawn Store, so that makes it easier. There's a kit that we offer that has Certainty, surfactant, and dye if you want it, just those three. And that will be everything you need for cleaning up the sedges that are in your lawn. So hope that helps, sir. Appreciate the question. All right, next up, we have DV. He says, thank you for the Caravan G answer. He says, you hit the nail on the head, typo insecticide and fungicide. Have a great weekend. Yeah, no worries, man. I know what you meant. I know you said herbicide, but you meant fungicide. No problem at all. No problem at all. And then B Butcher says, 4,500 is ridiculous. Oh, you're talking about for the Verticutter from Outlet? Man, listen, they're proud of their stuff, man. Everything has gotten more expensive. Put it this way, B Butcher, the mower that's just for the Verticut cartridge. That's not for the machine need to run it. The machine to run it is like 19 grand now. So, but you have to keep in mind too, like that piece of equipment is designed for like cutting like soccer pitches. Like if you're talking about like a soccer field, or they have them in the UK too, like bowling greens. Like they use allets on those. That mower is designed not really for homeowner use. It's designed for like big like fields, like professional turf. So because they tend to run that kind of equipment, like kind of how Green Smashers are run, they run them all the time. And it's a commercial piece of equipment. It just tends to cost more. Like, like if you, I had my Allet out at the Real Rollers Turf Park, whenever it was, maybe not last year, but the year before. And it's a really well built piece of equipment. Like the GM, like the Greensmaster, the Allet, as far as just solid construction, like you can tell they're built to run and just take a beating and just continue to run. So that's some of what you're paying for. Some of it's too is that it's built. I think all their stuff is built in the UK, so cost of labor is more expensive there. So it is what it is, man. Unfortunately. All right, next up is Clint Brock. He says, fun thought experiment. What's the difference between a year 1-2 lawn guy and a year 5-6 lawn guy? What's the difference between a 1 to 2 year lawn guy and a I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I think when you after you've been doing it, like most things in life, when you're brand new, you're more likely to make mistakes. You are you're more likely to make mistakes than when you are 5 or 6 years into a lawn care program. So it's like anything in life. I think when someone's new, they're more likely to make mistakes and they are less confident. And then as you get better at it because you've done it more, you are more confident. You make less mistakes. In other words, like someone that's brand new, they're just trying to not make mistakes. Someone that's been doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, like it's hard for them to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, so when you think about what's one definition of a professional, like a professional, it's hard for them to get it wrong. Whereas a novice, it's hard for them to get it right. So that's kind of like the same thing. The more you do something, assuming you care and you're really trying to get better at it, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then you tends to get better results. So that's one thing that came to mind. I'm not sure what else you might be thinking about. All right. Next up, we got B. Butcher. He says the 5-year guys realize all you need is nitrogen and not all this other stuff. I respectfully disagree, B. Butcher, but you know what? Different strokes for different folks. That's definitely an answer. I look at the way my lawn looks. Most guys that only just put nitrogen in their lawns, that do not look like how my lawn looks. So there is that, but whatever works for you. Next up, we got April. Clint got a laugh out of that. April says, hey, Ron, I have kids in my yard frequently, and I do not want to use a mole trap. Do you have a product I can put down to get rid of moles? A mole trap. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like you can use the smoke bombs, like the smoke grenades. You can use a Celen will help as far as making your lawn less appealing. But if you want the mole gone rapidly, then what you need is you need one of these. You need one of these guys. These guys literally normally what happens is if you have a mole actively in your lawn, meaning you got they're making like active mole tracks, active tunnels. If you put one of these in the lawn, normally within 48 hours you get it. Like when I did this on my lawn, it was hours. I set the trap in the morning, and by like late morning, it was gone. I got the mole. So, I would say if you have kids, what you would do is this, put a flag near it and tell the kids not to mess with it. And really for the most part, once this is set, unless they are pulling it out of the ground and messing with it, they really shouldn't. I mean, there shouldn't be a whole lot of danger, honestly, either. So, I would put flags up. You can flag it and just tell the kids, hey, there's a trap in the lawn. Don't mess with it. There's that. But as far as like the fastest way to get rid of moles in your lawn, everything else is a deterrent. So again, a Celen using an insecticide is going to help to make your lawn less appealing. But once a mole is already there, one of these guys is what you're going to want to go with. And if you want to see how well they work, I've got a short video where I show the mole meeting its end, and it's his fault. I know folks get mad at me, but like, oh, you're mean, you killed the mole. Like, whatever, wrong lawn, man, wrong lawn. Came to the wrong lawn. Don't go pick some other lawn to go mess around in. But yeah, I think I might be able to show it. But yeah, this video here shows the moment when the mole got his. When the mole got his, April. So if you want to see the results of the trap, right here, that's the mole going click. I might be able to show the video. Let me see if I can get YouTube up, because actually when it happened, I played it several times over because it was good. Yeah, here we go. Yep. So I can move over here and you guys can actually hear it. So let it reset. And here it went click. So you see, if you look at the trap that's over here in the right and the left side of the screen, you see near the sidewalk, you see go click and pop up. And that's when I got the mole. So I had two. I set one near the sidewalk and I set one like also near the sidewalk but off to the left. That is when you can see the moment it got caught on camera when the mole got. So yeah, I would say to get rid of him if he's already there and you're not trying to be patient, I would just use a trap because they can do a lot of damage really quickly, and I just I don't think you should feel bad about it. I mean, they made choices in life got consequences. So yeah, use a trap. I would say just mark it like that one I was telling you about. If you look on Amazon, some of them come with flags so you can mark them and just tell the kids just stay away from it. Like, you know what? I mean, you can tell kids to not do stuff these days. I know it's like these things, you don't want to hurt kids' feelings and tell them to let them run and be free and do whatever. But sometimes you just got to tell them, hey, don't mess with the mole trap, and they shouldn't mess with it. It should have to be in the lawn very long anyway, more than 24, 48 hours at the most. But in most cases, within a day, you're going to get the mole if you set the trap in an active like raceway or tunnel that it's going through. All right, next up is Higgy Pop. Higgy Pop says, "Happy Friday. Have a great show. Hit the like button. It's free." I appreciate that, Higgy. All right, next up, Fresh Apple says, "I'll go ahead and send you some pictures of my lawn. Maybe you'll be able to see what I mean by half the lawn isn't green." Yeah, so yeah, if my email address, if you want to send me some pictures, here's the thing. If you're going to email me, you have to make it short. Like some folks write like an entire encyclopedia. Like you actually got to send me, have the question you're asking like at the top. Let me know what kind of grass you have, which I think you have Bermuda, and just like make it concise because I get a lot of email. If you send me like a really long drawn out book, I just won't read it because it takes too much time. Because I do it as a community service, and it takes a lot of time to do that. So just make it short if you're gonna send me an email. All right, my email address is, where is it? It's ron@golfcourselawn.com, but there we go, right there. ron@golfcourselawn.com. That is my email address. So if you want to send me some pictures along with a concise question of what you're looking for, I will email you back. All right, next up is Noack95. He says, "Hey, Ron, I'm starting to see 3 yellow areas in my lawn that looks something is killing that area." Say, that's not good. So it could be a couple of things. It could be a disease problem. It could be insect damage. What else could it be? One thing I want to know, Noack95, is this new? Like, has it ever been a problem before? Like that area's always looked good, or has it always been that area always has issues? Without seeing pictures of it, it's kind of tough to give you some guidance on it. But it could be insect damage. It could be again disease causing the problem. Could be wear, like if people are messing around in that part of the lawn more than other areas, that can cause discoloration. Lack of nutrient can also cause that. There's also that too. So it just depends. Just depends on why. So I'm not sure. All right, next up is Joel Brian. It says, "What does Milorganite do?" It's a fertilizer. It's a fertilizer. So it's I think I'm not sure if Milorganite is considered truly organic, but it's considered like a non-burning fertilizer that was made really popular it's still popular now, but now it's gotten so expensive that it's not great value for money anymore, in my opinion. But it's a fertilizer is what it is. And next up, we got Noack. He says, "Also a recommendation for a new reel mower, my 25-inch McLean, but I'm ready for a new reel mower with a drum. The McLean reels leave a big time mark for me." If you're looking for a new reel mower and to get away from your McLean, I would go with the Revolution 26. Like, especially in the price point, the area where you already are with the McLean, like the Rev 26 is going to be a huge upgrade over what you currently have. So that is what I would recommend. And it checks all the boxes. You got a rear drum powering the mower. You got a nice front grooved roller. The mower's nicely balanced. It cuts well, well built. Yeah, that's the mower that I would absolutely go with if you're looking to replace your McLean or True Cut or trimmer. If you're in market for a new mower, I would give the Revolution a very hard look. It's a great choice. Good value for money, in my opinion. All right, next up we have Mike D. He's back. I gotta speed up. He says, "I live in Central Texas, strong winds, and some of my clippings of debris from my Sterling just fly out backwards towards my face and into the yard. Is there anywhere I can get a custom bagger made?" That one I don't know. I don't know, Mike. You might have to make it yourself. Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you. I am not sure on that one. Next up, let's see here. And then Fresh Apples, you have a question about the edge guard. Yeah, so if you have Humic Max on the golf course lawn store, if you go to the product description under the how to use drop down, like if you go there, there's the regular product description, there's the detail description, and there's how to use. If you click on that, it will show you all the application, all the spreader settings for the various for Humic Max. If you have a Scott's fertilizer, there's a setting there for the for Humic Max. I want to say it's 3.5, I believe, but double check me. Check the store. All right. Next up is Glycan's Julie says, catching up on a lot of your videos, not my business, up here in Cool Guys Country, Pacific Northwest, but wonder what your thoughts were on the discontinuation of Arden 15. Wish I could have had Bermuda. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why they did it. It was a great grass seed. I'm telling you, Bermuda or Arden 15 is an excellent cultivar. Beautiful color. It and Princess 77. I think they looked. I mean, as far as a seeded Bermuda that approached the look of a hybrid, Arden 15 and Princess 77 were there, man. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they discontinued it. Maybe they didn't want something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows why? I don't know why they discontinued it, because Arden 15 wasn't even really around for more than a few years. It wasn't around very long, but I don't know why. I don't know why they discontinued it. And there's not really been a replacement. I have not heard of them announcing a replacement for it. So don't know. All right, Tom Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, happy Friday, y'all. Ron, thank you for all the motivation, advice, and great products. You probably know Biospectrum strongly inhibits fungus as well, right? Yeah, that is a side effect of it from Miramichi as well, Tom. But yeah, as far as it's not something that I really talk about, because really, if you what you want to use is a fungicide. I would say use a fungicide instead of Biospectrum for that purpose. But as far as like the damage that a fungicide can do to microbial activity in your lawn, Biospectrum can help restore that, which is why I wanted that as part of the carbon kit. So when I was putting together, like, as far as the way the story goes, like, many moons ago, when I sat down with Miramichi Green and they opened their catalog up to me and they said, well, what do you want to put in a kit that you want to spray regularly, like you want to offer to customers and to people that want to, use our products on their lawn? I said, well, this is what I want to use on my lawn. And so I built the carbon kit based on what I know what my needs were, which is a quality liquid fertilizer with micronized carbon, a good kelp product, and then a product that stimulates microbial activity. Also, because I spray fungicides on my lawn, which again do reduce the microbial activity in your lawn. Biospectrum is a way to help restore that. So that's part of why it's a big part of why it's in the carbon kit. All right. Next up is Tommy's back. He says, I'm applying Biospectrum twice a month. Looking forward to less disease this year. Looking good so far. Yeah. So I spray the Biospectrum along with Nutra, Kelp, and 901C every 2 weeks whenever I'm spraying Primo. So that's part of my stack that goes down. And let's see here. We have a couple other super chats. This one is from Chris Styles, 405. I appreciate this, Chris. He says,
Super chat received.
can you damage your lawn if you use too much fungicide? Yes. You could damage your lawn if you use too much of anything. If you use too much water, you could damage your lawn. So yes, too much fungicide, too much insecticide, too much herbicide, too much fertilizer. Yes. At rates that are high enough, it becomes damaging. Like the good effects that it causes, that it can provide, can become toxic. Just like anything else when it comes to us, like even like water, right? You always hear you should drink more water. Water is good for you, but water in high enough quantities is not good for you. Like it becomes a problem. So fungicides and other things we apply to our lawn are no different, Chris. For the most part, as long as you stick within the application rates, the labeled rates, there's not a problem. But it's when you start applying things 2, 3, 4 times the rate is when you start running into issues. So I'm sorry if I missed your super chat earlier, because I just now saw that and I saw it was ahead of another one. All right, next up we got James Smith, another super chat.
Super chat received.
He says, Moles Caddyshack action time. Yeah, man, I actually did a video as like kind of played homage to Caddyshack. I don't know if I did a great job, but a lot of people got a good laugh out of it. Let me see if I can find it. it's a short video that that you guys might enjoy. It was a fun one. Alex the Enforcer came out for that video. It's let me see. Let's see here. Yeah, this is it here. 2 guys, 1 mole. That's the name of the video. So so yeah, if you're interested, James, you want a good laugh, you probably have already seen it, but mole Caddyshack video, that, you know, my take on it. So there you go. If you guys want something funny to watch, that was from a couple of years ago, the first time a mole invaded my lawn, and some fun storytelling and some video, some fun cinematography in it. So if you guys like it, like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but it was fun to make. All right, next up is Bruce Romano. He says, hey, Ron, I'm going to Verticut and scalp my Bermuda Tipway 419 soon. I like it. Should I apply Primo Max PGR before the Verticut? And can I mix prodiamine with the Primo? Thanks for your help. Okay, so can you Verticut with the lawns under regulation? Yes, because I do it all the time. Like I'm trying to think. I don't think my lawn actually has ever been Verticut when it was not under regulation. So yes, can you do that? Yes, you absolutely can. Will it recover faster if it's not under regulation? Yes, but I mean, it's immaterial is what I'm trying to say. So if you want to use growth regulator in your program, I would not wait to Verticut. I would not delay using Primo because you're planning to Verticut. Because really, if you're doing it right, you're going to be Verticutting monthly, right? So you can do it like maybe this month, you'll be doing it at the end of May and of June and of July. And, you know, so at some point Primo's got to go down, and really you want to get it in the plant earlier in the season than later, in my opinion. So, so thing one is, yes, you can absolutely use Primo if you're planning to Verticut. And the next question, can you mix prodiamine with Primo? I've never done that, and I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't. But here's why, Bruce. Like prodiamine really benefits from like a larger droplet size. It's designed to get into the soil to work, whereas Primo is designed to be sprayed on the plant and dry. So I've never actually done that combination, and I wouldn't. I would do them separately. I would spray I would do what order would I do those in? You could spray your prodiamine, water it in, and then wait for the lawn to dry, and then come back and spray your Primo. That's probably how I would do it. Or conversely, you could spray Primo, wait a day, and then spray prodiamine. That would be fine too. But doing them together, I've not done that. I probably wouldn't. I would separate those two. So good question. Good question. But yeah, Verticutting and Primo Max, no issues there. No issues there at all. Again, it's you can be Verticutting throughout the season, so at some point you got to get Primo down. So, all right. Next up, we have Sionis Pierre. I think you're new. If you're new, welcome. I've not seen you before. He says, hey, Ron, long-time listener, first-time messenger. I have my results from a soil test. Where can I send it to get your thoughts? Sure, yeah. So you can send them to me, Sionis, at ron@golfcourselawn.com. So send them right here, ron@golfcourselawn.com. I'll take a look once the show is over, and I'll get you an answer. So if you email me tonight, I'll do my best. I'll look over it and give you my thoughts tonight. And yeah, send them there, and I'll take a look and let you know what I think. Next up is Terrence Stamps. He says, Ron, you described the Revolution and the Greensmaster. Sounds like choosing between a Porsche and a Ferrari. Yeah. I mean, that's a way of saying it. I mean, they're just designed to do different things. Like one is like a $15,000-$16,000 mower. One is a $3,000 mower. It's not really fair to compare them. And I'll put it this way. While the Greensmaster is a better mower, it's a better cutting mower, it is not 5 times the mower that the Revolution is for a homeowner. If you're on a golf course or you're like a golf course superintendent, then yeah, they're probably not going to buy Revolution. They're going to use Greensmasters or John Deere mowers. But for a homeowner, you're not getting, for what you're going to be doing with it, you're not going to get 5 times the mower is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, they're both excellent. Go with whichever one you decide you want to go with. There's not a lot of difference between the two of them. I'm telling you, the Revolution punches well above its weight, especially at the price point. Like if you're comparing it to the GM, again, it's not really a fair contest. If you're making a more fair comparison, which is comparing it to mowers in its price point, it's not even close. There's nothing in that price point that cuts like that mower does, or that is, in my opinion, as well thought out. This is easy to use as the Revolution. It's a great mower. It cuts really, really good. And again, the one you guys got, the one that you guys that order them that you're getting is better than the version that I was using last year. Like the improvements that Lee and the team did over the course of whenever it was August when they announced it until now when it was actually released made a material difference in the way the mower cuts and just performs. So it's you're not going to be unhappy if you were to go with that mower, is what I'm trying to say. All right, next up is Club. Let's see here, Club Beaufort Football. Cool. I guess it's a football club. He says, I reseeded my soccer field with Bermuda seed. When is a good time to put out fertilizer? You could have put out fertilizer whenever you were doing the seeding project. Once the seed germinates and you say you're going to get out there, you want to start mowing the field, club, then yeah, you can start feeding it then. I can tell you what I do. Whenever my Bermuda lawn is actively growing, which this time of year it is, I feed it with granular fertilizer every 4 weeks. So once a month, it gets a granular fertilizer. And then I also do a liquid spray to include fertilizer, biostimulants, and growth regulator every 2 weeks. And the results that I get from doing that program creates a stand of turf grass that looks like that. And again, that's taken today. That's April. And again, it doesn't even really look good yet. It's not really next month. In May is when it's really going to wake up. And again, June, in my opinion, is when my lawn, like the first 3 weeks of June is when I think my lawn looks its best. So it doesn't even really look good now, but that is the results you're seeing here of a monthly fertilizer program, of a monthly granular fertilizer, and then liquid sprays every couple of weeks. So that is what I would do on your football pitch. And you said, I just reseeded it. When is a good time to mow it? When it's grown in. So once the seed germinates and it gets to, I'm not sure what height you're planning to maintain it at, but let's say it gets to an inch and a half, then you can begin mowing it. And then once you begin mowing it, begin feeding it. And again, what I like to do is once a month for granular fertilizers, and then liquids, every 2 weeks. It really depends on your budget and what you're trying to achieve. But once a month, when Bermuda's actively growing, produces a really good result. So hope that helps. Great question. Appreciate you asking. Very, very cool. Cool that you went with Bermuda for your football field instead of some other cultivar. So cool. Very nice. Let's see. Next up, he says, Ron, love hanging out. Lawn is fire. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. He says, not sure if I'm the only one, but how do you get a football field when everyone else has a half-acre lawn? Yeah. So, sure. So there's a story about that. So this neighborhood, whenever it was zoned in like the early 2000s, the lots, some of the lots were a lot bigger than others. And then 2008 happened. So recession happened and they pretty much stopped construction in a lot of the, in this community. And then since the economy recovered and they began building things out, there are a few of the lots that still had the original like land allocation, and this one is one of them, right? So to your point, most of the lawns aren't as nearly as big as my back lawn is, but that's just due to just how it was zoned like in the early 2000s, and then nothing happened. And then whenever they started things up, these are already done. They're already parceled out. And they stayed that way. And then whenever they were doing the rest of it, they did them all much smaller lawns. So that's the reasoning why this one is so much bigger than most. There are a couple other lawns in here too that are also large too. Not quite, definitely not as flat. This is probably the flattest lawn other than Alex. Alex's lawn is pretty flat too. Alex's lawn and this lawn are very flat. There are also a couple other properties that have large lawns, but they tend to be like a big hill or something like that. So as far as like a big, large, flat lawn, this is likely one of the bigger ones, I believe. I haven't been to everybody's lawn, but this is one of the bigger ones that I'm aware of. All right, but that's the reasoning why. It all came to how the land was parceled out years and years and years ago, and it just stayed that way whenever we bought the place. All right, next up is Joseph Roberts. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Happy Friday, everyone. Joseph, what's going on, man? Hopefully all's going well with you, man. I haven't heard from you in a while, so glad to see you're doing well. You stopped in this live stream to say hello, so appreciate that. Next up is Dan Pham. He says, hey, Ron, thank you for dropping all this knowledge. I have a small Bermuda lawn that I will be leveling next month with a 70-30 sand and soil blend. How would you raise areas around the driveway about 2 or 3 inches? I would use fill dirt to build those areas up and then top dress afterwards. Because while you could use like a sand soil blend to go up to build up 2 to 3 inches, that's 2 3 inches. You might be able to do that with sand. It's that's on the bubble. It's on the bubble, Dan. If you want it to be built up faster, you could pull the sod up, backfill it with some fill dirt, and lay it down, and then top dress. If you're fine with it taking probably this season to get it fully built up, you can do like several rounds of light top dressing in just that area. So what that sound means is you're going to top dress the entire lawn next month, I guess, right? And then that area where you need to build it up, you do like a regular top, you do a light top dress like everywhere else, and just do several rounds. So like every 4 weeks, you're going to top dress that area again, and slowly it will build it up. And that's another way of doing it. So it just depends on which way you want to go. Pulling the sod up and backfilling it is going to be faster than what I just described. So it just depends on which route is more your jam. So hope that helps. Keep us posted as far as how it goes. And like I always tell you, whenever you're doing a top dressing project, take pictures. Take pictures before, during, and after, because once you're done, the lawn will never look the same way again, and you want to be able to document and appreciate how far your lawn has come. When folks come over, family comes over and they say, Dan, your lawn looks incredible. People pull out their baby pictures, the family pictures. You can pull out pictures of your lawn. Like, look, this is where we started. This is how it was. You could excuse how bumpy it was, and scalp marks everywhere. And this is when I top dressed it. This is where it's kind of coming into its own, and this is how it looks now. You want to be able to do that. So take pictures, maybe even video, but definitely document it. All right, next up is Colin. He is back. He says, Ron, question regarding PGR. Is there a certain time frame you have to keep applying it to maintain it that way throughout the growing season? Also, when would you start and stop applying it? Thanks. Excellent question, Colin. So when I start applying it is like now, this time of year, late April, early May is when I do my growth regulator apps. I mean, this year I did it. I started on the 15th of April. And I do that all the way through until September timeframe. So literally once you start, in my case, I spray Primo every 2 weeks until between April and September. And that's when I shut it down. Whenever the lawn begins to slow down because it's getting cooler and it's starting to go into dormancy, that's when I'll wean it off of growth regulator, and that's it until the following year. So yeah, that's it's not difficult. Again, and if you want to do what I do as far as growth regulator, just find your grass type on the label, take that rate, cut it in half, and just spray it every 2 weeks. Start now and spray it every 2 weeks until you decide you're done for the season, and then you're done. That would be it. That is how I go about doing it. Produces really, really good results. And again, it makes sense for me because I spoon feed my lawns. I'm out there spraying other stuff anyway, so it's not a huge hassle. The only negative that I always point out to doing what I do is that if you're someone that's only out on your lawn once a month, then you're having to go out there a second time, like in the middle of the month, to spray growth regulator. So it just depends on whether or not that's for you or not. But again, if you're on a lawn care live stream on a Friday night, you're probably not averse to going out and being in your lawn twice a month, right? So next up is Gladiator 392. He says, hey Ron, I still have a lot of POA in my Bermuda. What's good for killing insects? 2 separate things, but okay. So I guess which insects, if you're talking about controlling or preventing grub damage, then use an insecticide like a Celen. If you're talking about like more annoying type pests like mosquitoes, gnats, no-see-ums, then you could use the non-toxic pest control, this product from Miramichi that we carry on the golf course lawn store. So it just depends on what type of insect you're trying to control. So yeah, but I'll give you a link here to the lawn insecticide section, and you can decide for yourself. All right, at Gladiator 392. Insecticides. There you go. All right. Next up is Matthew Whitson. He says, after heavy rain or after I water, I have a lot of worm castings that show up the next day. Is this a sign of issues I need to be concerned about? Nope, not a sign at all. Not a problem. Worm castings are a sign of healthy soil. I would not do anything to try and get rid of them. I don't know if there's even an insecticide that you were supposed to be using on residential on lawns anyway for targeting earthworms. I mean, they're a good thing. I know that worm castings can be kind of ugly, but just run over them with your mower. Like I have a couple of my lawn here and there. Like to your point, after watering or after heavy rain, you tend to see them more. The front roller makes quick work. It knocks them down, and then there's nothing to be concerned about. So it's a sign of healthy soil is what I'm trying to say, Matthew. I really wouldn't worry about it. It is a good thing. It's a good thing. All right. Let's see here. Emmanuel Surd saying, he says, first time being able to catch the live stream live, but I've been listening to your live catalog while I'm at work all day. The rapid info makes my ADD brain happy. I'm glad it's helpful. I'm glad it's helpful, Emmanuel Serta. And then B Butcher says, not true about Georgia, Mr. Ron, not true. Are you talking about like as far as the football fans of Georgia? We are a shining example of excellent sportsmanship in Georgia. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Have you been to a Bulldogs game? Have you been to Sanford Stadium? How we it's a thing of beauty. All right. Next up is Emmanuel Serta. He says, first year real mowing, maintaining a new house. First time catching the live, but okay, you've already done that. We've already been through that one. All right. Next up is Bryce Swindle. He says, too windy to spray today. I got a 3-day weekend. Nice. That's okay. I'll go out earlier in the morning, Bryce. Wind tends, not always, but it tends to be a bit milder in the morning or evening. So, if it's windy in the middle of the day, go out when it's a little bit earlier, and that should be a better time to do that. Let's see here. Next up is Football Buford. He says, when is the best time to mow the grass after resetting it with Bermuda? I'm not sure if I understand. Reseeding it. Yeah. So once it grows through. So I mean, if you've got small baby seedlings, there's nothing to cut at that point. So really, once the lawn is established, it's grown in nicely. I'd say when it gets to an inch and a half, get out there and you can then begin mowing it. So when the lawn is established, when it looks like a lawn, I guess in other words, is when you can begin mowing it. Football de Buford. So, or Buford football. I should say it's this. What did I say? Buford Football Club. That's what it is. So, yes, I hope that helps. And if you can, man, at some point, if you're going to be in the live stream, I'm not sure if this week's probably not going to work because it's already nighttime. But if you're going to be here like next week, take a picture of it. Take a picture of the field and like what your project is. I'd like to see it. It'd be kind of cool to show everyone, your seeding project. Again, my email address is ron@golfcourselawn.com. So if you have a pictures of it, of the field, send them our way and we'll show everybody what you're working with, which is kind of cool. Next up is Lenny. It says, is plant growth regulator better than root growth stimulant after overseeding? They are different. They do different things. So growth regulator, no, they're different. I mean, most gross root stimulant products are like biostimulants that you apply, like they have liquid products, granular products. I know RGS is one of them, and that is not a growth regulator. So they're completely different. Like growth regulator is designed to, like Primo anyway, is designed to suppress the grass from growing tall. Like what it does is it blocks gibberellic acid synthesis, which is what causes the stalk of the grass to get taller. So a good example, like I can explain it, but the effects of Primo, you can see right here. So the effect that Primo has on turf grass is this. So if you look at on the left, these are two pieces of grass on the same lawn. One is got Primo and one does not. And you can see the difference. Like one, you can see there's a lot more stalk there and the leaves are more spread out. And here there is less stalk growth and the leaves are growing in a lot tighter. So that is a perfect example of what happens whenever you use Primo on your lawn. That's the kind of thing that it encourages. So it's not a replacement for like a biostimulant, if that's what you're asking. All right. Football Club says, do we have to pay to get answers? No, you don't have to pay. It's just that I know you may have asked the question like maybe 45 minutes ago, but literally I just go through them in the order they come in. So it's just, if you want to get your question answered faster, yeah, you can do a super chat. Like I'll jump to those. assuming it's something that someone is asking that's sensible, I'll go to those. But I mean, other than that, it's just in the order that they come in is the way I work through them. So sorry, I'm long-winded, so it takes me a while to get through everything. All right. Next up is Larry Price. Says, what made you get into lawn care and pursue your lawn to be at the highest level? Great question. So it's the chase. It's the same reason why I enjoy martial arts. So for those of you guys who don't know, outside of work and lawn care, I'm a martial artist. So it's the same thing I like about martial arts, the same thing I enjoy about lawn care, that it's never perfect. You're always chasing, you're always chasing perfection. You're always chasing to do that form a bit better. You're always chasing to do, your side kick that much better, your front kick that much better, your spinning kicks that much better. Like there's always room to make it, to improve it. And even when you get it right, it's not a static thing. In other words, if you could go buy a bottle of we'll call it Awesome Lawn, right? You could take this bottle of Awesome Lawn and you could spray your lawn with it one time, and your lawn was incredible, and it never became unincredible again, then people really wouldn't care about lawns. The reason why we care about it so much is because it's hard to do it. It's hard, like to get a lawn. Like I always say, people that say like, a shortcut stand of turf grass that is green is like being a muscular person with abs. It's hard to do. It takes a lot of discipline. It's difficult to do it. Like, whereas if you take a lawn you allow it to grow tall, yeah, like growing a tall lawn and having it be green is like a skinny person with abs. It's not hard to do that if you're skinny, right? But doing like being a muscular person and abs, your diet has to be on point. Your training program has to be on point, and the same thing to grow a stand of turf grass at that level and have it consistently look good is hard to do. And the hard to do part of it is what I find fun. There's always things you can do to make it better. Like I'm playing with some things this year that I'll share with you guys later on in the season, that have really made a noticeable difference. I think you guys can kind of see some of the difference already. But it's the chase, I guess, is the big reason. It's never perfect. There's always something new to learn, always some way to make it just a little bit better. There's always some problem to solve, so that's what makes it interesting. It's never boring. So that is why, I guess, I guess probably the best explanation I can give you is why I like doing it. There's a lot of parallels between lawn care and martial arts. So, all right, next up is Southern Abe. He says, hey Ron, I have a little centipede on the edges of the lawn I'm trying to get in my 419. I sprayed Quinclorac, but it didn't phase the centipede. Maybe I need to spray at a heavier rate. Maybe. Did you also use a surfactant of some sort? Like you can use methylated seed oil, or you can use some kind of surfactant along with Quinclorac, Southern Abe. Like that's really important to getting the most out of that product. So you shouldn't really have to go up on the rate, but using a surfactant, some kind of a spray adjuvant, really does make a big difference in how well it works. So if you didn't do that the first time, try it again with using surfactant, and you should get better results, because St. Augustine and centipede don't tolerate Quinclorac very well. So it should work to selectively remove it out of your 419 lawn. All right, next up is, that's a good question. Not one I've actually gotten before, Abe Southern. All right, next up is John Smith. He says, hey Ron, I'm getting compliments on my lawn. A couple said it looks like fake grass. Don't you just love that when you get the fake grass compliment? Always good. He says that they can lay on. It greens up early with very little weeds. Looking at my neighbor's weed intrusion to spray. I would not spray your weeds in your neighbor's lawn unless you ask them. Unless you say, hey, listen, do you mind? I'm spraying like my lawn today. Do you mind if I spray like a foot or two into your lawn to keep the weeds out of your lawn from going into my lawn? If they get the permission and they say it's okay, then fine. But I would not, without asking them, go out and spray weeds in your neighbor's lawn. But having said that, I'm glad that you're getting great compliments and that people like your lawn. And you know what you find, John, is it's like gains, like again, kind of like to kind of go back to the question the person asked around like why I enjoy lawn care, is that the results are also cumulative, or they build on top of each other. Meaning, like you take a lawn that has a ton of weeds in it, and you get on a good pre-emergent program, and your good nutrient program, where you start to grow really healthy grass. Like weeds become less and less of a headache as years go by if you're consistent with that. So I'm not surprised that your lawn looks really good. And what you're going to find is if you keep up with it, if you keep consistently working on it, every year it's going to get just a little bit better. You know what I mean? You're gonna start a little bit further ahead of the curve because of the consistency. So good stuff, man. Keep working on it. And then next up we have, let's see if there's any more questions for me. You guys are having a sidebar. And yes, and then Emmanuel says, yeah, I'm basically asking if a mixed packet of Celsius can be stored in the tank because when I apply it, I spray the whole yard, but a friend of mine doesn't want to broadcast spray and just spot spray. It's up to him. I know there are some people that do that. I just don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Mainly because I just don't like leaving chemicals in the sprayer. You know what I mean? I don't like doing that because it dirties up the sprayer. The chances of you accidentally spraying the lawn with something else in there is more increased if you do that. So I'm just not a fan of doing it. I mean, if you had a dedicated sprayer, first of all, I'm not even sure how long you can even leave Celsius mixed and still have it be effective. So that's thing one. I don't even know how long, as far as effectiveness goes, if you leave it like for months on end, if it would still even work well. But then also for from a safety standpoint, let's say if someone, if someone got into the garage or whatever, I mean, just having a spray tank full of like mixed up herbicide, I would just tell your friend to, if he can, mix what he's going to use and spray it and leave the equipment clean when you're done with it. Your equipment's going to last longer if you do that. I mean, that would be my recommendation, but it's up to him. There's people that do what he's talking about. And I guess what I'm trying to say, he would not be like, in other words, I'm probably in the minority from that standpoint of that. I'm really adamant that when I'm done spraying anything in my lawn, I use it up and I leave my sprayer clean when I'm done. A lot of people tend to leave stuff in their sprayer, but I'm just not a fan of doing that. All right, next up is Ace. I'm sorry if I'm butchering up your name. It says, is it Asea or Ace? I think it's Ace. He says, hi, Ron. Ace here in South Carolina. Love your channel. I appreciate that. Looking to reseed my Bermuda lawn and apply a granular prodiamine a month later. Not sure about rate for 4,000 square feet. What seed do you prefer? Okay, so if you're doing a renovation project for your Bermuda lawn, first of all, if I can, I would try and push you away from doing grass seed for a couple of reasons. Like it is more work to grow a lawn from seed. Like people don't realize it. They think, oh, I'm just gonna, burn the existing lawn down, put out grass seed, water it a little bit, and you're gonna be good to go. Like it takes a lot of water. Like for most Bermuda grass seeds, you're talking 2 to 3 weeks before you get any kind of reasonable germination, and you have to water the lawn every day, multiple times a day for you to get a good result. So the cost of the grass seed, especially when you talk about like a 4,000 square foot lawn, I honestly, man, I would just really look at going sod. Like there's a lot of really good cultivars in sod. Like you can do Tahoma 31, you could do Tiff Tough. There's like a lot of really good and really pretty variants of Bermuda grass that only come in sod form. If having said all that, if you decide you still want to go forward with grass seed, I would not spray prodiamine a month after you've planted grass seed. You know what I mean? Like prodiamine is going to negatively impact germination rates. And what you'll find is if you go out and you do grass seed over the entire lawn, it's unlikely that it's all going to grow in all evenly all throughout the lawn. So you may have to go back and reseed some sections, and that's going to take more than a month. So prodiamine you'll be actively working against yourself if you spray pre-emergent when you're seeding a lawn. Not only that, you also increase the likelihood that you can damage the very young grass. So if you're going to go forward with the seeding route, I would omit prodiamine until the fall at best. And then as far as grass seed goes, what I like, they don't make anymore, right? Arden 15 was a great grass seed. Princess 77 was also good, but you can't get them anymore. So these days people are using like Yukon, call up, who I would say is if you want to call up Hancock seed, I think they're in Lakeland, Florida, call them up. They sell a lot of grass seed and ask them what the popular cultivars are. These days, I don't really follow it as much as I used to because for most people, I really don't recommend that they seed their lawns. It's a lot more work than you realize. And in most cases, right, you're growing in a stand of grass that is less, that's not going to be as pretty. You know what I mean? It's like most of the hybrids the leaf is finer, the color's better, they have better cold tolerance. Like a case for seeding would be like the gentleman that has the football club. If you're trying to grow Bermuda grass over an entire soccer field, then yeah, you're going to use grass seed because you're not going to sod that. That does like financially doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, unless you're like some, I mean, I should say that for most people it doesn't make sense because it's cost prohibitive to put that much sod down on a field, unless you got a really big budget. So in that case, seed would make sense. But for a 4,000 square foot lawn, man, I would go out and get yourself some Tahoma 31 or Tiff Tough and just go on down the road and enjoy life. I really wouldn't even mess with grass seed if it were me. So hope that helps. Again, if you decide you're still going to do it, I would not use pre-emergent until the fall at best. And it really depends on how well the lawn has grown in by then. You may have to wait until the spring of 2025 before you use pre-emergent. All right, next up is Grasshopper Lawn Care. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Glad the spring has finally arrived. No more brown Bermuda yards. Tell me about it, right? It's go time. It's fun time. Time to be out there in the lawn and get at it, right? And next up is Steven Thompson. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Not to brag, but man, what an eventful few days for me. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday. My wife delivered our daughter a little before noon. Congratulations. So it's your birthday. So wait a minute, you and your daughter have the same birthday? That's pretty awesome. That's pretty sweet. And it says the Revolution 26 is supposed to be here Monday. Hope I have time. You're probably going to make time. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, make sure you don't get in trouble with the wife, but I'm pretty sure you're going to make time to, go at least take delivery on the mower. Take it out of the box, take a quick picture with it, a little selfie, then run back to the hospital, assuming they're not home by then. But yeah, man, congratulations. First of all, happy birthday. Congratulations on the newborn, and congrats on the Revolution 26. We're going to clap it up for that, man. That's pretty awesome. Pretty good. You planned it well. Very, very nice. All right. And he said, I hope you get time to get a mow or two in soon. You will. I mean, the babies, they'll be home. Even when the baby's home, it's not going to take that long to get out there and mow the lawn. Not going to be that bad. Okay, next up is John Smith. He says, I have talked with my neighbors about weed control. With their permission, I like this. I like how you're phrasing this, John. Very good. With their permission, I sprayed one application of weed control to manage the poanua and crabgrass on both sides of my property. Sounds good, John. I'm good with it. If they're happy, you're happy. Sounds like they get some free lawn care out of it, and you get a weed-free lawn, which is good. Yeah, man, definitely congrats, man. Congrats on the baby girl. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you have any other kids, but girls are more expensive than boys, for sure. So boys are easier, I think, but girls are more expensive. Next up is Melvin Otta. He says, hey, Ron, now that you applied PGR in your front yard earlier this year, do you recommend to do it? Any difference between that and the backyard? Not really. It slowed down. The front yard was slowing down how quickly it was growing compared to the back. Now that both of them have been sprayed, the grass is not growing really on both of them. It's really slow in both cases. I liked it. I mean, here's the thing I would say, Melvin. Depending on how your lawn is growing in, that's going to drive when you can introduce Primo. So if your lawn is still mostly dormant this time of year, which again, it really shouldn't be, but if it is, then no, it's too soon to do that. But I mean, this year, my front lawn woke up a bit sooner. It grew in nicer than last season. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? We're going to start using Primo a bit earlier this year. And it worked out great. Lawn looks great. Color looks great. There was really literally no downside. And the back lawn, same thing, So yeah, and again, I'm gonna have a for those of you with Bermuda lawns. I mean, other lawn grass types can do this too, but particularly with Bermuda lawns, there's gonna be a tip I'm gonna be able to give you guys here soon with growth regulator. It doesn't really matter if you're using Primo now; it's not gonna change anything. It's gonna be something you can do in addition that I've been testing that I really like the results with it. So you guys will have to stand by for that. All right, next up was William. He says, Ron, I believe you recently applied Caravan G on your lawn. No, I haven't applied Caravan G on my lawn in years. You might be thinking a Celen G or Headway G perhaps, but not Caravan. I've not done Caravan in a long time. He says, why do you choose that as opposed to a Celen, which is an excellent product for growth control? Please elaborate. Yeah, so William, I think if I said Caravan, I apologize. I can't tell you the last time I used Caravan G on my lawn. It's been several years. So what I do now is a Celen for my insecticide and Headway or Pillar SC for my fungicide. So they're separate. I have not used Caravan in a number of years on my lawn. So if I said that, or I may have misspoke, but no, definitely this year. No, it's not been Caravan. I don't even I'm trying to think. I don't even have any Caravan that I could spray on or use on the spray that I could use on the lawn. So got Headway and plenty of a Celeprint, but no Caravan. All right. Next up is Mike D. No, that's not for me. That's a sidebar about the grass topper. And then next up is Andre Taylor. He says, "Hey Ron, happy Friday and sorry for joining the live stream so late." Well, about time, Andre. Here's the thing. We were all waiting for you. People were about to check out. I said, "Guys, don't wait. Don't go anywhere. Andre's going to come. We just hang on, stand by. He's eventually going to show up." And now you finally showed up. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Everyone was waiting for you. He's just finished applying a 901C carbon kit as part of my first attempt at spoon feeding. Laid down Humic Max and Essential G. Cool. Yeah, sounds like you did it. I mean, it's not really an attempt. It's not, spoon feeding is not rocket science. I mean, literally, you apply the granular once a month and you apply the liquid, you spray the liquids every 2 weeks. And the rates you're spraying the liquids at are relatively low. So the chance of you burning or damaging the lawn are minimal. So it's not hard. It's not that difficult to do. The hardest part about spraying liquids is calibrating your sprayer. You only really have to do that one time. And once you got your sprayer calibrated, you know what your walking pace needs to be to put out a gallon of mix over 1,000 square feet. That is literally the hardest part of spraying liquids on your lawn. Once you got that figured out, if you can read read a label and follow application rates, you're good to go. So yeah, you should get good results with Andre. I'm sure you're going to be fine. You know, I'm just giving you a hard time about showing up late, right? So don't take it too seriously. Don't take me too seriously. Most people don't. So next up is Joseph Duke. Oh yeah, James says at Ron Henry, for new joiners, it might be good to share what under regulation means. Oh yeah, so what he's talking about, or what I'm talking about, is whenever you spray Primo Max, right? Which is a plant growth regulator, right? So what that does is, it's kind of, the name kind of implies, is it regulates how quickly the turf grass grows. And Primo slows down the growth rate, I think Syngenta says by up to 50%, which is pretty accurate. I mean, it really does slow down how quickly the grass grows. And then the time when you spray Primo and it begins to take effect, and the way the lawn behaves during that time, it's called being under regulation, meaning you're regulating how quickly the lawn grows. And then if you stop using growth regulator, the lawn will come out of regulation, and what you normally will see is like a very quick flush of growth. If you were to do that, say during the summer months, whenever temperatures are better for more rapid growth in the lawn. But when I say under regulation, I'm referring to a lawn that has been sprayed with growth regulator and the growth rate of the turf grass is suppressed. It's being held back. So hopefully that makes sense as far as what I mean. All right, good call, James. All right, next up is Joseph Duque. He says, hey, Ron, I leveled my lawn. Should I water every day until all the sand is gone? I would say every day. I water typically for the first 3 days following a sand leveling project. I'll water. That really helps it settle in. And, to help you with this, Joseph, I have a video on this very topic, meaning you just got through leveling your lawn. You're not sure what to do. Like, what do I do after I've leveled my lawn? Like, what comes after top dressing? It's a very short video. It's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And it talks about that very topic. It's just going to talk about watering. It's going to talk about getting debris out of the lawn. So something you can do to get debris out of the lawn and also speed up how quickly it recovers. And then the third tip that's in there, I think there's 3 tips there if I remember correctly. The third tip is around mowing, like when you first start mowing the lawn again after top dressing. So if you're interested in that, this is a short video that talks about post top dressing or post lawn leveling tips. Stuff that I've done that has served me well and will help you get a good result with your top dressing project. So take a look at that. And as far as to answer your question, water every day for 3 days. So just the first 3 days, and then I don't anymore after that. So, but watch that video. It's got some other good tips in there that I think you'll find helpful. All right, we got another super chat. This one is from Mr. Pavel. It's just a super sticker. Thank you for that, Pavel.
Super chat received.
Thank you so much. Lemon character running around, leaning on the floor. Sounds like fun. And then next up, we have Tony. No, I'm wrong. Next we have Tony. He says, I'm in the middle of a front lawn renovation, burned all living things at the cleaning stage now. Planning to use Bermuda. What are the best things to do before installing grass? South Florida climate, thank you. Yeah, so okay, so if you are starting like scorched earth, brand new canvas, I am a huge fan of putting out a biostimulant prior to either installing sod or as part of a seeding project. So if you're going to be doing let's just say sod, because sod is way easier to do. Say you're gonna do sod. Right now your lawn is bare. You have two choices that I would go with. Whichever one you decide to use depends on how much work you want to do, but they both work fairly well. So if you were to go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and then Miramichi Green Biostimulants, I'm a huge fan of putting down either a heavy application of Essential G or carbonized PN. Carbonized PN is like a compost and biochar blend. It's almost like very rich topsoil. So you can do a thin layer of that over the entire property, and that is going to help any sod that you put down. It's going to help it to root in faster. If you prefer something or a product that's in a prill form, meaning you can apply it using a broadcast spreader, then that is where Essential G is a good choice. It really depends on how much work you're trying to do. Essential G, you can see what it how it looks. I think I've got a picture here. So see, it's a prill, like that'll go down in a spreader with no problem. Whereas if you look at carbonized PN, it is a very rich compost material. So you see there, it's like very rich compost type dirt type product. So, but you need some way of spreading it. You see there, I've got a leveling rake there in the background. So I use that for like working that over the surface of the lawn. So it really depends on which way you want to go. Either one of those would be good. So I would use a granular biostimulant. I would put out a starter fertilizer of some sort. You can, it's your call. Like what we carry on the store is this fertilizer from Lebanon Turf. It has a bit of everything in it. So the 14714 has a bit of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Also has some kelp and humic acid in it. So it's like a biostimulant and fertilizer in one. That would be a good choice. And then put your sod down, water it, and wait. That's you're setting yourself up for success if you do that. That is what I will do. I'll give you links to both of those in the chat, Tony. But yeah, sounds like a fun project that you're taking on. So this is the fertilizer. And then the biostimulants, I'll just link to the Miramichi Green collection page. You can choose which one is easier for you. Either one of those will work. Because carbonized PN, like the initial, what was developed for was for exactly what I'm telling you about. So it's either for like high value ornamentals. So if you're putting like an expensive, like a Japanese maple or some expensive plant or tree, and you want to make sure that it takes, carbonized PN helps with that. Or if you're doing sod in sod on like nicer properties, because like most places that like put sod on a new construction, they're not going to use carbonized PN. But if you're doing a sodding project and you want to ensure that it roots in well, then it's a good tool that you can have in your arsenal for that. So hopefully that helps. You got links to both of them. And you said I'll be using ready to lay sod. Yeah, good. So if you're using sod, so here's how it would work. You would have the bare soil. I would do carbonized PN and a fertilizer, a starter fertilizer of your choice. Again, I recommend the 14714, but any starter fertilizer that you decide to go with should work okay. And then your sod on top of that, and then water it in, and you're good to go. So you're creating like a biostimulant and fertilizer sandwich in between the sod and the existing soil, the existing dirt. That's how I would go about it. All right, next up is Brian Tanner. He says, happy Friday, Ron. I have reserved an aerator for tomorrow, putting down some Essential G, Humic Max, and carbonized PN, and a sand mix for some leveling. Good to go for the weekend. Sounds like fun. Take pictures before, during, and after. All right, next up is D Mart. Let me see what else we have here. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Will applying an insecticide have a negative effect on my lawn if I spot? Yeah, I think I already answered this one. It will not. You're good to go on that from that standpoint. And then OG says, hey, Ron, I was wondering if it's safe to spray Talstar on fescue after seeding. I'm getting more ants from watering 3 times a day for 15 minutes at a time. Thanks for your help. It shouldn't be a problem. I mean, here's the thing. I would check the label to see if there's any specific guidance related to fescue. I would not think so. I would not think that you would have an issue spraying that or applying that to your fescue lawn. But again, check the label. If there's anything special, it'll be mentioned there, but I doubt it. I kind of doubt you're going to have any problem with doing that. I don't believe so, but again, check the label. So, but off the top of my head, I would say no. You shouldn't. It shouldn't be a problem at all. It shouldn't be a problem at all. All right. And then next up we have, oh, I missed it. We have Andre Taylor. He says, Ron, I mix 901C and PGR at the suggested rate in a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. However, okay, and here we go. Here comes the truth now. However, my walking pace was quite a bit slower than what it should have been. Is that still considered over application? I have 6,500 square feet. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, how much did you, if you mixed enough product to cover 4,000 square feet and you sprayed that over less than 4,000 square feet, and when I say less, I mean materially less. So if you had like 4,000 square feet of product in the sprayer and you sprayed it over like 3,900 square feet, it doesn't really matter. But if you're telling me you just had like 4,000 square feet worth of product and you sprayed over like 1,500 square feet, then yeah, that's a problem. That's like you've overdone it. So it depends on how much we're talking about. So you said I ended up mixing 8 gallons in total. So 8 gallons over, yeah. So 8 gallons over 6,500 square feet, that could be okay, but it again depends on the rate. So again, I've said this before on shows in the past, but it's worth repeating. The thing to keep in mind is when I talk about application rates for release 901C or for growth regulator, for herbicides, for anything really, it's the amount of product over 1,000 square feet. Like when I say mixing it with a gallon of water, that is just the dilution rate. You could technically take, like here's an example. You could take 3 ounces of 901C, right? Which is what the rate that I use for spraying 1,000 square feet. And you take that 3 ounces of 901C, mix it in 2 gallons of water, and spray 2 gallons over 1,000 square feet, and that would be just fine too. Now, it's more work. You're gonna be filling up the tank more times if you do that. But the thing that's important to track and make sure you get correct is the amount of product that's being sprayed over the amount of area. Like the dilution rate, you can play with that a little bit. You see what I'm saying? So it's the dilution rate matters less than the amount of product you applied. So again, as an example, you could do 2 gallons over 1,000 square feet if you wanted to. For most products, the conventional guidance is 1 gallon over 1,000 square feet is a good dilution rate, because 1 gallon of water is enough to do a good job covering 1,000 square feet of turf. And yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is you didn't say how much product you put in the 4-gallon sprayer and what you sprayed. So if you mixed 4 gallons, if you mix 12 ounces of 901C, 12 ounces of Nutrikelp, a teaspoon of Biospectrum, and half an ounce of Primo, which is enough for 4,000 square feet, and you spray that over, again, like I said, 2,000, 1,500 square feet, you overdid it. So what I would say is this is a great segue into sprayer calibration. So the thing to do, you did this time, but going forward, we really want to, really want to make sure that you do a good job like calibrating your sprayer. So you with just plain water, so you know what your walking pace needs to be, so you can put out the right amount of product over the right amount of square footage. Given that you have 6,500 square feet, I would probably plan on doing a 4-gallon tank and then a 3-gallon tank. So you would mix, so here's what you do. You would do the first tank, you'd mix enough product to cover 4,000 square feet. And then the second tank, you would put 3 gallons of water in it, but you would still put enough product in there. Again, that's correct for 6,500 square feet, and that would be fine. So yeah, the big thing is as long as the right amount of product is going down on the right amount of square footage, you're fine. That's the thing to really keep in mind. And if you've not seen my video on sprayer calibration, let me find it and link it to you, because it's not hard to do, but it's literally the one thing you have to get right if you want to avoid things like this. And the good thing is that you are spraying stuff that's relatively benign, right? Like if you were doing that with herbicides, you could have damaged the lawn. But 901C at 3 ounces per thousand, if you did a little heavy, not really going to matter, because again, that is just slightly below half rate for what 901C is, for rates you can spray for 901C. So here you go, Andre. This is the video on sprayer calibration. Take the time to do this. It is worth it. I know it's like I'm beating a dead horse, but like literally the single most important thing to getting a good result with spraying liquids on your lawn is a calibrated sprayer. And it's really not hard to do. It takes all of like 5 minutes to do it. So I really would take the time to go through that video and figure out what your walking pace needs to be, and you'll be good to go going forward. So no harm, no foul. Thanks for sharing it. It was a good teachable moment for anyone else that's looking at spraying their lawn. And again, it's not that big a deal. Once you get it all figured out, you'll be a pro and you'll be out there spraying like with the best of them. So don't sweat it. All right, next up is D. Mark. He says, I agree. Keeping pictures is a great motivator. Baby lawn pictures for the win. That's right. Mark Luna is up. He says, hey, Ron and Sharp Action Gang. Late tuning in. Ron, thanks again for your help as always. The chase never ends. Furt down this weekend. I love it. I love it. You're right. The chase never does end. It is the chase. That's the thing that's always, that's fun. Got to embrace the journey. All right. Tom, he says, Ron, somehow you missed the second of my 3 comments. I was hoping to qualify for the Miramichi question of the week. I love their products. Always great results. What was the 3 questions? Oh, Tom, what did I say here? Let me go back up really quick here so I can find it. I missed the second of your 3 comments. Let me scroll up here really quick and see if I can find it. Okay. He says, oh, here we go. You said so you were talking about biospectrum and inhibiting fungus, and you said, I did not realize it, but I am aware how you get by with only 2 fungicide apps per year. Yeah, so when I say I do more than 2 apps per year, I do an app in May, an app in June, and then again in the fall in October and November. So there's 2 times in the year when I spray fungicides, but it's really a total of 4 applications. So May, June, and then October, November. So it's not technically 2, it's 2 times of the year, but not 2 applications. So yes, hope that helps, Tom, as far as that goes. And then next up, we have Teddy T. And yeah, Tom, I'll send you an email after the show's over. As far as the t-shirt, the Miramichi question of the week t-shirt, I'll hook you up. I got you. No worries there. All right. Ted T says, lawn care is much like working out. It's all about incremental gains, discipline, hard work, and dedication. Then you're constantly staring at your grass, much like Jim Coer's look in the mirror. It's just like that. It's true. I mean, here's the thing. I know, I'm probably the minority of this, but I have been known, I may have done this a time or two. During lunchtime, I'll sit down, with like a plate of food and sit there and just put the chair in front of the back door of the window and sit there and just eat while I'm looking at the grass. And I'm sure I'm the only one that's done that, as far as like just staring at my lawn while I'm eating lunch or just relaxing or thinking. But yeah, it's a thing. It's the chase, man. That's the thing. The fact that it's hard, it's like what did Kennedy say? Like the reason why, like why do we choose to go to the moon? Not because it's easy, because it's hard. Like why do you choose to try and have a golf course lawn or have like an amazing lawn? Because it's hard. It's not easy. It takes consistent hard work that most people are not going to want to do, and the results I think are worth it. And plus, there's way worse things you can be doing with your time, right? So there's that too. It's a fun hobby, fun hobby. All right, next up is Brian Baldino. He says, I have a 700 square foot lawn of mostly weeds. Going to shovel it all out. I'm real strong. Okay. I have a leveling rake for spreading. What advice can you give me on the type of top dressing soil? Yeah, so here's the thing, Brian. I'm a fan of a 70-30 blend. So 70% sand, 30% compost or screen topsoil if you can get it. That gives you, in my opinion, the best of both worlds. You're getting the structure that sand provides as far as the leveling, and then you're also introducing organic material to the soil profile, which is a good thing as well too, right? Just for helping you get a healthier and prettier stand of turf grass. So if you can do a blend, 70-30, 50-50, that would be great. As far as your 700 square foot lawn, as far as material, I don't know how bumpy your lawn is, but I wouldn't get much more than a cubic yard of material. Typically what I recommend for folks is 1 cubic yard per 1,000 square feet. That's a good rate that produces nice even coverage. So in your case, whenever you get ready to level your lawn, 1 cubic yard is going to be plenty. You should be able to do the entire thing and maybe have a little bit left over for some spot top dressing work after the fact if it's needed. Then outside of that, don't go too heavy. So if you're going to do a leveling project, there are people out there that'll say, you know, when you're going to go level your lawn, beach the lawn, go out and sand cap it to where all you see is sand. And technically, yes, technically you can do that. The negative is that it takes longer for the lawn to recover. If your lawn is on any kind of a slope and you get heavy rainfall, or if it's not on a slope, if you just get any kind of heavy rainfall, like if you are living like Oliver's life, where your lawn does you get rainfall, something like that, it's going to create a colossal mess. Like it's going to take the sand, it's going to move all over the place, and you're going to have to try and work it back into like the low spots or the areas where it was before. So if I give you a piece of advice when it comes to leveling, aim for between a quarter to half an inch as far as material you put down on the lawn. So if it's done right, you should see the tips of the grass blades exposed for a lot of the lawn. Like you'll have some areas where you'll only see sand, like in the low areas, but that shouldn't be the case for the entire lawn. You should see like grass, you know, sticking through here and there. And some areas that are really low is 100% sand, or you know, you can't see the grass. But that's kind of how it should look. You should be able to see some grass, I guess, when you're done with it. So don't go so heavy that the entire thing is turned like into a beach, because it's just it takes longer to recover. And if you get any kind of a heavy rain, it's going to make a big mess. And outside of that, water it and just wait. And I linked a video there in the chat that you might find useful on the 3 things that you can do post top dressing for a good result. So I can run through them here really quickly. Thing 1 is to water. For the first 3 days after top dressing, watering is a good idea because it helps the sand settle. The next thing you can do is, if you're using a leveling rake, which you probably will be, is take the leveling rake and just drag it over the lawn. So you're not going to be using the leveling rake like when you were top dressing to like work the material in. You're just going to literally take the rake and like have it behind you and just walk along the lawn. What you're doing is you're like you're gently like working the sand further into the canopy. You're going to find that after you do that, the tips of the grass blades are going to stick up, which again is going to help it recover faster. It's also a good thing to do from a standpoint of if the material that you got wasn't screened really, really well. So if you have like some stones and bark and like other trash in it, when you walk the lawn with a rake, it's going to catch a lot of that stuff. So you're going to be able to like make a few passes, and then take a bucket with you and just scoop that up and throw it in a bucket. So whenever you are done doing this, a couple of days of doing this, the lawn should be relatively clean. That if you were planning on real mowing it once the grass grows through, you're going to be able to do that without little chance of damaging your equipment. So again, to recap, go light as far as top dressing, water for a few days following top dressing, and then drag your leveling rake over the lawn every day. Just walk the lawn, and that's going to help it to recover that much faster. Last thing I could tell you is that whenever you mow, if you can raise the height of cut up just a little bit so you can keep the mower out of the sand, that would be good, because that way you're not going to get the reel, assuming you're real mowing, get the reel into sand, which is going to cause it to go dull. You have to get it sharpened, and then just enjoy it. So that's in a nutshell. That's a leveling video in a nutshell as far as my tips on getting a good result on top dressing. So I hope that helps. And last thing I'll tell you is take pictures. Take pictures before, during, and after, and enjoy the process. Thanks so much, James. I appreciate that. As far as telling folks to hit the like button, it is a good thing. Free way to support the channel. And you said, what do I need to do to calibrate the backpack sprayer? You got a video in the chat right now. I got you, man. Come on. I'm not gonna say, Andre, you got to go do something and be like, best of luck to you. I got you, man. I got some content there for you. Read that or watch that video. And again, there's multiple ways of doing it. The way I show is just one way, and you can follow that. You can do it that way. You can do it a different way if you want. But the big thing is you want to figure out how long it takes your sprayer to output a gallon of water. And then your walking pace needs to be such that when you cover a 50 by 20 foot area, so 1,000 square feet, that you put out a gallon of water. So that's pretty much it. So get your sprayer, measure how long it takes you to put out a gallon of water, flag off, get your floor flags and measure off like a 1,000 foot section of the lawn, walk that and spray it with only water. Put a gallon of water in the tank. Or what you can do too is a gallon of water is actually bad advice. Put like a gallon and a half of water in the spray tank, because most sprayers, when they get really low, the pump can sometimes can begin to cavitate and just not spray well. So you put exactly a gallon, this is not going to work out too well. So what you can do is put like a gallon and a half of water, walk 1,000 square feet, and then when you're done, if you have like a pitcher, whatever's left in the sprayer, pour it back into that tank in the pitcher, and you can look at it and you can see what you got left. So you can see if you've got ideally half a gallon left if you put a gallon and a half in there. So play with it. It's like a feel you'll develop as far as what your walking pace needs to be. And once you figure it out, you're done. You never have to do that again. So there you go. Hard of Tyler says, what's the best solution to fixing a grassless red clay soil in the backyard going to be sod? So I would aerate, and if you can top dress, that would be good, because as far as improving drainage in a clay lawn, like most clay soils don't tend to drain that well. If you can aerate and then do a top dressing with the same thing I was telling the other gentleman, like a blend of sand and soil, that's going to improve drainage. And then if you lay your sod on top of that, you'd be good to go. You're going to like the results that you get with that. So that would be my recommendation to you. You could aerate, top dress, and lay your sod on top of it, and that's gonna improve things quite a bit. I mean, you could technically aerate and then lay your sod on top of the clay soil, but then you have to. It's going to be a little bit while before you can top dress it. So if it were me, I would aerate. I would try and fix or improve the soil profile prior to putting the sod down. So, like I said, aerate it, top dress it, sod is how I would go about it. And again, I haven't seen the lawn. I'm just going by based on what you're saying. And if you say it's grassless, it also makes sure there's no kind of a shade problem too, right? Because I mean, grass can sometimes have trouble growing in clay soil, but assuming there's enough sunlight and everything else, like nutrients where it needs to be, Bermuda will even still grow in clay soil with no problem. So I would check to make sure there's nothing else going on that's preventing the grass from growing in that part of the lawn before you go out and spend a bunch of money putting sod in. You are very welcome, Tony. That's what I'm here for. And then next up we have Cordella Loman. Oh, let's see here. It says, hey Ron, I treated my Bermuda lawn with Celsius and Image combo. It worked for Poa annua and broadleaves. A week later, I aerated and put down humic and Milo Fert. My lawn seems to be slow growing. Suggestions. When you say humic, what do you mean? Do you mean humic acid and Milo? So the thing with Milorganite, it is a slower release fertilizer. So it needs temperature because it needs microbial activity. It needs the soil to be alive and working for it to really begin to make the nutrient in it available to the grass. And then so you start seeing the results. So I don't know where in the country you are, but Milo is not a great choice if you're looking for faster results. So, and as far as humic, I'm not sure if you mean, I guess you're meaning humic acid, not humic max. But I mean, with Milo, it's gonna take longer for the lawn to respond to that than it would like a blended fertilizer like humic max or any of the other fertilizers that we carry on the golf course lawn store. So I would give it some more time. I mean, alternatively, unless you're married to Milo, you could switch it up as far as fertilizers go. Like humic max, you apply this. Within 5 to 7 days, you're going to see a response. You're going to see a nice color response. Most people do anyway. I mean, I'm not having any complaints about it. So something like Humic Max or the 12024, either one of these would be a great choice as far as helping the lawn wake up. The first fertilizer I applied on my lawn this season was this one, was a 12024, and it was in the month of March. And this is how my lawn looks today with an application of 12024 and then an application of Humic Max in April. And then for May, it got Humic Max again. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Humic Max until the fall, until September timeframe when I shut it down. And then I'll put 12024 and that'll be it. So there you go. Let's see here. Tony says, how clean of organic materials do I need to get the soil prepped? I just wouldn't use like bark. I mean, just material doesn't have a lot of trash in it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to use like even like manure would be, or like a screen product that has manure in it, that would be fine too. But what you don't want to do is put out something that has like a lot of like bark and twigs and that kind of stuff. Like you want it to be like dirt. You know what I mean? Like soil, like not soil with a bunch of like stones and rocks and other garbage in it. You want it to be clean from that standpoint. You know what I mean? Like not a bunch of other foreign stuff in there. And then Isaiah Crazy says, hi Ron, not sure if my question came up. I think it did. I think I remember answering your question earlier. I think I did. If I didn't, I apologize. But again, remember, it takes me a while to get through everything. I'll go back here really quick here and look. Yeah, you did. You asked a question about grass seed. Yeah, and I think I answered your question already. So I did. It did. It just takes me a while to go through everything. My apologies. I talked too much. Next we have Lance F. Lance F. I think. No, I am. This is the problem when I scroll up. I forget where I left off. All right. Next we have. I'm trying to find where I was. Bear with me, guys and gals. Don't cuss me out. All right. Yep. All right. Here we are. Yep. Next up is Lance F. He says, "Hey Ron, happy Friday. Do all PGRs act the same way? Acted the same way. The turf thickens up, or just slowing down top growth on cool season lawns? No. So all growth regulators do not act the same way. So there are. Oh, I just used to know all this. Should have this memorized. There are 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. So I think there's 6. I mean, correct me wrong. I'm sure someone that's on the internet is going to correct me. Like, no, you're wrong. It's not so many. But I believe there's like 6 classes of growth regulators, A through F. And the ones that we use they're either A or B. So here's the thing. So you have the class that we commonly use, which is like Primo, is 1, and then like paclobutrazol is another class of growth regulator, and they do work differently. Like they're like different growth regulators. They all have, or the ones that we use were designed to slow down growth. They have the same. They don't all work the same way, but they have the same effect, which is the turf grass grows slower. But to answer your question, are all of them the same? No, there's several different classes. I want to say there's like 6. I think A through F, but I think it's only for what we do. I think it's only A and B are the ones that we use. I believe so. Don't hold me to that, but I believe that's correct. And yeah, they, as far as the effects, yes, they slow down how quickly the turf grass grows. But they do it through different means. Like in some like Tide Paclo is one that is taken up by the roots, right? Whereas Primo is a foliar based one. So it's depending on the method of action, depends on whether you need to water it in or you need to spray it and allow it to dry. So yeah, the results though tend to be similar for pretty much all of them. Okay, next up is Tony. Nope, I already got that one. Next up is, yeah, he's back again. He says, and by the way, I didn't ask my neighbors if I could kill weeds that took over my yard. If anything, I'll ask him to pay for new sod. Okay, I guess, man. I'm just telling you, it's just easier just to be nice and it doesn't take anything just to ask him a really quick question and say, hey, man, this is what's going on. This is what I plan to do. Are you okay with it? And most people are fine with free work. So as long as you don't damage the lawn in the process, it's normally fine. All right, Glycan's Rule has a question. He says, after an aeration and leveling, carbonized PN, essential G, starter fertilizer, and overseeding, what is a good time for him to apply Primo Max, fungicide, and insecticide? Okay, so the timing of those things are different. So insecticide, if you were in Georgia, like I would have already done my insecticide, my spring insecticide app. If it's me, I would have already done that. Fungicide app, you would do May and June. And that is not related to your leveling project. Like fungicide, your fungicide app is not timed around leveling. It's timed around if your lawn is predisposed to having problems with disease, when the time of the year when that's more likely to happen. Kind of like why I apply fungicides in the fall is because that is when spring dead spot tends to develop. So it's more of a timing thing than if I'm leveling my lawn and I can do fungicides at the same time. So when it comes to Primo, whenever the lawn is growing, if you're out there, if it's growing in and you're regularly mowing it, that's when you can start using growth regulator. The answer for Primo is whenever the lawn is actively growing, you can use growth regulator on it. So that's why my lawn, for the most part, from now, like April, all the way until September timeframe is when it will be under regulation using growth regulator. So hopefully that helps. So for an insecticide, April, and then again, if you want, in late July, early August, and then fungicide, May, June for this time of year. So hopefully that helps. Glycan's Rule. If you're doing the order of those things and they were all granular, you could aerate, do a granular biostimulant, Essential G or carbonized PN. You could do your fertilizer. If you're overseeding, you could do that then too after leveling. It just depends, man. I'm not sure if anything is granular, like your insecticide, your fungicide, all those could be applied after you've aerated the lawn. But again, I don't want you to get at least by my saying that, I don't want you to get the idea that I'm tying a fungicide app or an insecticide app to leveling. They're not linked in any way. It's really more around the time of year when you're trying to prevent or interrupt the life cycle for, say, grubs, right? That's when you would do an insecticide. And you do your fungicide during the time of year when your lawn is more prone to having disease problems. So around here, it's like May, June timeframe. So it's more of a timing of what you're trying to prevent for fungicides and insecticides, and leveling is just whenever you decide you want to do it, right? As long as the turf is growing. So yes, I hope that helps clear things up for you. And you said, I assume pre-emergent should be held off until the spring of 2025. Yeah, so if you're overseeding, if you're seeding your lawn, and I'm assuming I think you have cool season turf grass, then yeah, you're not gonna, the absolute earliest you would do it would be this fall if it were like Bermuda. But if you're trying to be as safe as possible, wait until spring of 2025. You're absolutely right. You're spot on with that one. All right, let's see. That's a sidebar that James had. He says, good test to learn walking pace layout markers are lawn flags on a 20 by 50 foot section and practice with water. Yep, that's how you would do it. That's how you would do it. Let's see here. And then Terry says, Ron, my thinking is correct here. Spray Primo every 2 weeks and stop around July when Chicago heat revs up. Should I expect a flushing of grass growth in July? I guess why stop in July? Like I would just spray like throughout the entire growing season. Like there's no reason to really stop. I guess what I'm trying to understand is you don't want to spray during July because it's hot outside, or for some other reason. Like I would just spray throughout the entire growing season if it were me. But to answer your question, whenever you stop spraying, whenever the lawn comes out of regulation, yes, you will see an increased rate of growth for a period of time. But again, I just wouldn't do that. I would keep the lawn under regulation until like fall time. But again, that's just me. I'm not sure I'm not sure why, especially because really like July is when you really want it to be under regulation. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure why in July you would choose to stop then. All right, let's see what else. Next up is it's a sidebar. Harv Taylor says, perfect, thank you. You're very welcome. He says, it might have historically been a shade problem as we cut down 2 trees when purchasing the home. Yeah, so that's the thing. So if you're talking about the lawn that has a lot of the clay soil. If you got rid of the shade problem, then yeah, everything else I said stands as far as the aeration and doing the top dressing and then putting the sod down. But unless you corrected the shade, you're going to be spending a lot of money that's just going to end up being wasted. You know what I mean? Because the one thing that Bermuda grass, or really most grasses need, is plenty of sunlight to do well. But especially Bermuda grass, it does not do well with any kind of any kind of material amount of shade. You really want a lot of direct sunlight for it to do well. And Cordero says, yes, humic acid. Okay, yeah. So what I would say is, again, Milo's not a bad fertilizer, but if you're trying to see a color response faster, not the best choice. So I would go with, again, one of the ones that I recommended, Humic Max or the 12024. That would be my my recommendation. All right. Colin says, how long would you wait before applying PGR on new sod, or is it a bad idea to do that for its first season? I'm assuming you want to wait for the sod to be grown in and established for a bit. Exactly what you said. So once it is rooted in, it's established. It doesn't look like the lawn was just sodded anymore. Like you're not seeing the lines anymore. You're regularly mowing it. You're feeding it. Like if the lawn is doing well, then yes. If at that point you want to introduce growth regulator, that would be fine. But there's a whole lot of boxes you have to check before that, in my opinion, right? So again, it's rooted in properly. You're mowing it. You're feeding it. At that point, PGR if you want to. Next up, we have Andre Taylor. He says, is it okay to spray the Miramichi green pest control in lawn and turf, or only on shrubs and garden beds? You can spray it on pretty much everything. The only reason why the Miramichi doesn't recommend spraying it indoors is because some of the oils in it, like it's a slipping hazard, it's like a tripping hazard, you know? So for safety reasons, anywhere where someone's going to be walking, like on a hardwood floor, you wouldn't want to spray it. But like outside on shrubs, on downspouts, on the side of your house, on the lawn, no, there's no problem. You can spray it on any of that. There's no issues with that at all. The video, if you go look at the product description, there should be a video in there. Let me check and make sure I'm not lying to you. There should be a video in there that I did on the pest control that I need to add that. Do I? Nope. Yeah, it's in there. Yeah. So there's a video in the product description under product detail that shows it being sprayed on shrubs, side of the house, downspouts, I mean, lawn, everything. So it's not a problem. You can spray the lawn with it as well too if you want. Great question. And you know what, Andre? Even though we're going to Tom up for that question, we're going to, you, sir, will be our other Miramichi question of the week. So if you want a greatness from the ground up t-shirt, some free swag, you got some. So if you want it, send me an email to ron@golfcourselawn.com and I will tell you how to claim your prize. It's a great question. I think the folks at Miramichi will like that one. So yes, Miramichi Pest Control, you can spray it everywhere. Send me an email to here, where is it? ron@golfcourselawn.com and I will tell you how you can win Greatness from the Ground Up free t-shirt, courtesy of the nice folks at Miramichi Green. Great question. And no, Tom, I haven't forgotten about you. Tom, I'm like, what about me, man? What's going on? You're going to be good. Don't worry about it. All right. Antoine Clayton, I think it's Antoine Clayton, says, happy Friday, Ron. First time live. Welcome. He says, St. Augustine here, trying sifted topsoil black, I think black cow you mean. Black cow mix for top dressing. I've done topsoil sand mix in previous years. Is that a good idea? Will be 1/4 inch app with Landsey. Yeah, I like it. Sounds like a plan. You got some sand, you mix some organic in there. You're doing 1/4 inch. I love it. Should work well. No problems at all. You said I'm trying to add more organic material. That's a good plan. I do like that. Julius says, can I fertilize after I level my yard? Yes, you can, but I would fertilize as part of it. So as far as the sequence goes, if you're really trying to get the most out of your lawn leveling project, I would aerate, then I would fertilize, and then I would top dress after you put your fertilizer down. If you're not going to do the aeration, I would fertilize, and then I would do your top dressing on top of that. But if you've already top dressed your lawn and you're asked, can you fertilize a week or 2 or 3 later on? Yes, you can do that too. But I mean, if you think about it, fertilizer needs to get in the soil, and then top dressing, especially if it's a blend, is essentially soil. So you want like putting that down prior to you laying the compost or the top dressing on top of it makes a lot of sense. So that's why I say you would aerate and then put down any kind of fertilizer, any kind of granular products, and then top dress on top of that is what I would recommend for best results, Julius. So hope that helps. Great question. And if you need anything else, let me know. It's good. It's a good one. Going late tonight, guys. It's late. You guys are still hanging out here. I appreciate you guys. All right. Next up we have Matt Marsh, the real estate agent, says, hey, from Atlanta. What's going on, Matt? Hey. I hope you're doing well. And great night, my friend. Enjoy the weekend in the lawn. We'll do. I'll have fun with it. He said, you love the Ugly Lawn series? Yeah, man. Great. Thank you so much. I'm glad that it was useful. It was a fun series to make. Alex was a great sport. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people got a lot of value out of it. So thank you for watching the content. Ahmed Jones says, what can I put on my lawn now that I have crabgrass on my Bermuda lawn? Yeah. So what I would say, if all you have is crabgrass, which you really are trying to target, is quinclorac, a herbicide called quinclorac, Ahmed. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, if you go to weed to shop and then weed killer, you scroll down, you will see, actually it's on the second page, I need to move it. You will see this, which is quinclorac, which is arguably the best herbicide for controlling crabgrass. It's a really good product. This is what I would use. You want to use it along with surfactant for best results. So if you already have surfactant, just get this. If you don't have surfactant, get the kit that has surfactant, the herbicide, dye, and surfactant. And that is what I would use for eliminating crabgrass in your Bermuda lawn. So quinclorac will be your jam. That's what I would do. That's its claim to fame. I mean, eliminating crabgrass, or if you have centipede, or if you have St. Augustine in a Bermuda lawn and you want to get rid of it, you can use quinclorac for that as well. So I just sent you a link there in the chat for it, so you should be all good to go. Well, guys, gals, I think that is pretty much it. That's all the questions. I got one more here that we'll answer, and then we'll call it for tonight. One from Maxino. She comes in. She said, Mel, or I'm not sure if it's a he or she, says, Ron, thanks for all you do. You're welcome. She says, I have Primo Max, but I haven't used it. I have patches of common Bermuda grass mixed with Tifway. I've read I can use PGR to slow down the common to blend with the hybrid. Thoughts? Yes, that is a thing. That is a thing. That is one of the uses of growth regulator that you can, it can help hide common Bermuda in a hybrid Bermuda lawn. That is something you can do. And that's a great question. It's something I'll probably make a video about this at some point. There's something else you can add with Primo that makes this effect even better. So, but yes, to answer your question, yes, Primo, that's one of the benefits of it, that if you keep your lawn under regulation, that the differences between the common and the hybrid become a little bit less apparent. So yeah, great question. It is very much a thing. Great one. I like that. It's a good question, Mel. All right, guys, gals, cue the outro music. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I know we went a little long tonight, but thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out with me on a Friday night, talk about lawn care. Hope you guys got some value out of it. Again, we have Humic Max, the Carbon Kit, Primo Max in stock in the Golf Course Lawn Store and shipping. We will have replacements for Turf-like and Nutrisolve soon, so I apologize for that. So you have to wait too long for getting some liquid fertilizers. Again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out with me on a Friday night. Get out and do something fun in the lawn this weekend. And as always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Have an amazing weekend. Take care.